Ready, Paul? Yep, we are. All right. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order our August 11th, 2025 regular city council meeting. And our meeting always begins with the Pledge of Allegiance. Before we get to that, I just wanted to introduce the person who's leading us in the pledge today. So Cody Moore is a shift supervisor at Walgreens. And a couple of weeks ago, there was a woman who is who's one of his regular customers, and she came into the store, and she was going to buy a couple of $250 gift cards to Target. And Cody noticed that she was getting pings from a call out of state that was not one of her patterns. And so he said, "Ma'am, I think you're being scammed, and I'm not going to sell these gift cards to you," which is a wonderful thing and a brave thing, and it says a lot for his leadership, too. And one of our residents, by the name of Becky Ulinski, who is here tonight, posted about it on one of the social media sites. And I called the store, talked to Cody, talked to Becky, and thought, wouldn't it be great to celebrate something good, something wonderful in our city tonight as we start out our session? So I would like to call Cody and Becky up, please. I have for them a certificate of recognition from the city and passes for your family to go to the Hawk, as well as for you, Becky, for doing the right thing and sharing something good, because there's so much on social media that is not, and isn't it great to hear wonderful things? So council, if you want to take a photo with them. Do we need another person? Are we good? All right.
One down here.
We need one more person down here? Okay.
It's all off balance.
Got to be in balance. All righty.
So far.
Okay. Thank you. You know, there's a special room in hell for people who exploit our elders, so thank you. Okay. And so Cody's going to lead us in the pledge, so he's going to come up here. Right there, yep. Sister, do you want to go get the picture? Or friend? Yeah, okay. All righty. When you're ready, Cody.
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now down to our regular business. Roll call, please.
Council members Aldred.
Here.
Bolaware. Here. Bridges.
Here.
Bruce.
Here.
Dwyer.
Here.
Knoll.
Here.
And Mayor Rich.
Here.
Thank you.
Item 1, approval of the regular session agenda. Is there a motion, please?
Madam Mayor, I move the council approve the agenda as published.
Thank you.
Support.
We have motion and support. This is a regular vote. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Carries. Item 2, proclamation representing Mr. Jim Kubera's retirement and 48 years of dedicated service to this city, and it will be read by Council Member Bridges.
Thank you, Mayor. Proclamation recognizing Jim Kubera on the occasion of his retirement, August 29, 2025. Whereas Jim Kubera, a pillar of the City of Farmington Hills Public Service Team and the longest-serving city employee to date, will retire at the end of August 2025, having served the community for more than 40 8 years. Whereas Jim began his career with the city in May of 1977 after graduating from University of Detroit and quickly established himself as a trusted expert and value contributor to the Department of Public Service, Engineering, most recently serving as a city engineer. Whereas Jim earned a master's in business administration, became a licensed professional engineer, and earned numerous awards in recognition of his commitment to excellence in civil engineering and public service. And whereas throughout nearly half a century of service, Jim played a pivotal role in shaping the infrastructure of Farmington Hills, from converting dirt roads to pavement and designing sanitary sewer systems to major improvements, including the Halstead Drainage Project and the 12-mile road boulevard. And whereas Jim's technical knowledge was matched by his appreciation for teamwork, and he consistently valued the contribution of his fellow engineers, inspectors, and office staff who helped bring projects to life. And whereas Jim's mentorship and guidance were essential to the professional and development of many colleagues, yet he remained committed to learning new methods and technologies throughout his career, always striving to make Farmington Hills the best city in the state. And whereas the city evolved from a rural farmland to a dynamic municipality, Jim's personal and professional growth mirrored the transformation, supported every step of the way by his loving wife, Mary Kay, their 3 children and 5 grandchildren. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Teresa Ridge, Mayor of the City of Farmington Hills, on behalf of the City of Council, do hereby recognize Jim Cabrera and thank him for the tireless service which he has had a profound impact on the City of Farmington Hills after an exceptional 48-year career. We wish him all the best in his well-deserved retirement. Jim? Yeah, Mary. You want council to be there? You want council to be there? Yeah. Want you, the middle. Hey, Mary, how are you?
There we go.
Aw, Jim.
All right, if Jim is under the clock, he's centered.
Okay, everybody smile.
Thank you.
All yours, Jim.
Thanks, Madam Mayor and Council. I appreciate this award really a lot. It means an awful lot. And I guess the first thing I'd like to do is just introduce my wife. You've seen, we had a picture here, but this is Mary Kay. We've been married for 41 years. I've been here 48, but because of her kindness, support, and love, I was able to be so successful here at the city. And I wanted to acknowledge that to everybody here in the audience and to all of you here, okay? So that means a lot to me that she was with me this whole trip for all these years. About 11 days ago, the city had their award ceremony at the Longacre House, and Gary came up to me, and later on he announced I was retiring at 48 years and asked if I wanted to say a few words, and I did a few words, and it made me feel real special, okay? It really was nice that he did that. And tonight, getting this certificate in a public meeting by council with a picture of you guys just takes it over the top. It really does. It means an awful lot, and I really, truly appreciate it. I do love this city. I've enjoyed being with it from its beginning to to the shining star that it is today. And it's been just a great ride, and thanks so much for this honor. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Dr. Bruce.
Yeah, I just want to say, Jim, I've had the pleasure of working with you in the city for almost 30 years, and even before that, when we had our roads paved back in the 1990s, and working with you all the way back then. It's hard to imagine the city without you being here. I'm very happy for your retirement, but we're definitely going to miss you here. You have made such an impact on the city. Your mark is everywhere here, and that's a very rare thing to see, the amount of influence one person has had. And so you've done a great job. I hope you have a wonderful retirement, and thank you for everything that you've done for the city.
Okay. And that takes us to item 3, proclamation recognizing September 2025 as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, and it will be read by Councilmember Bolaware.
Thank you, Mayor Rich. This is very personal to me. I lost my mom to ovarian cancer about 20 years ago, and I would encourage every woman to get their wellness checks, as well as men to get their prostate checks. They're very important in the matter of your health. But here's a proclamation for Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, September 2025. Whereas Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month serves as an important time to recognize the strength and resilience of those affected by ovarian cancer, honor the lives lost, and support ongoing efforts to improve prevention, detection, and treatment. And whereas ovarian cancer is often called a silent disease because symptoms can be subtle and easily overlooked, yet increased awareness and education can lead to earlier diagnoses and better outcomes. And whereas advances in research, innovation in treatment, and the dedication of healthcare professionals, survivors, and advocates continue to bring hope to women and families across the nation. And whereas we stand in solidarity with all those impacted by ovarian cancer, and affirm the importance of raising awareness, early detection efforts, and the necessity of research that will bring us closer to a cure. And whereas by increasing understanding, we strengthen the community's ability to respond to ovarian cancer with compassion and informed action. And whereas Farmington Hills residents may benefit from access to quality health care resources close to home, supporting early detection, treatment, and ongoing care with trusted healthcare providers in the community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Teresa Rich, Mayor of the City of Farmington Hills, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim September 2025 as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month in Farmington Hills, and encourage community members to unite in support, advocacy, and compassion for those affected by ovarian cancer and to support early detection efforts. Receiving this is,
It should be in there.
okay. I don't have anything in it. Mhm.
Uh-oh, she's here.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you. Thank you so much.
Would you like to say a few words?
Okay.
I'm Meredith. I'm with the Michigan Ovarian Cancer Alliance. Approximately 1 in 91 women will develop ovarian cancer in their lifetime. A Pap test does not screen for ovarian cancer, and in fact, there is no reliable early detection test for ovarian cancer. Due to the lack of an early detection test, spreading awareness of this disease and its most common symptoms is crucial. This proclamation helps raise awareness in our communities, and our organization, MIOCA, is very grateful for the support from the City of Farmington Hills, recognizing September as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. Thank you all for your support.
Thank you. And do we have any announcements or presentations from city boards, commissions, or public officials? Okay. Moving on then to correspondence. Anyone have correspondence they would like to share? I know, Mr. Dwyer, you have a list of folks that we got letters from, and I know, Dr. Bruce, you have some as well.
I do, Mayor. This is on the PUD 2 2024 13-mile Middleville. Public comments, starting with Carrie Delgado, Katie Johnson, Aubrey Lee Jr., Lindsay Mash, if I have that pronounced right, Michael Pucher, Douglas Robertson, Douglas Graham, Ulysses Skissy, Michael D. Robertson, Mamie Robertson, Roy McCall, Paul Schultz, Zach Adams.
Okay, and then you have more of a
And we
list.
also have more on the same PUD from Charles Spees, Jay Meisner, David Meisner, Dr. Beverly Mihalko, Dwayne Pitcher, Shelby Spees, I hope I'm pronouncing that last name correct, Teresa Spees, Valerie Watson, Addison Schmidt, Christine Griswold, Sharon Havas, Craig Kellerman, Ron Letterman, Eric Schmidt, Kristen Schlad, Roger Matus, Chantel Lapointe, and Craig Lapointe.
And we also got a letter from attorney Courtney Agrusa with the firm Foster, Swift, Collins, and Smith, who says she has been retained by Lindsay Madich, who is a longtime resident of our city, also regarding the PUD for this evening. So that's the correspondence received. Anybody else? Okay. And that, by the way, represents correspondence we received as of 4:30 this afternoon. If someone sent in correspondence that came in after 4:30, it's not on this list. Okay, that then takes us to the consent agenda. The consent agenda is, all items will be considered routine, administrative, or non-controversial by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There is no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or citizen so requests, in which event the items may be removed from the consent agenda for consideration. They will be read by our Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Dwyer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Number 12, recommended approval of a tentative agreement and memorandum of understanding with the Command Officers Association of Michigan, CMR 825-111. Number 13, recommended approval of the 2025 High-Intensity Drug Trafficking Area, Oakland County Subrecipient Agreement, CMR 8-25112. Number 14, recommend adoption of the amended Planning Commission bylaws and rules of procedure, CMR 825-113. Number 15, recommended approval of the agreement with Michigan Department of Transportation for cost participation for a joint storm sewer project on Grand River Avenue between Coral Avenue and Tuck Road, MDOT contract 24-5382, CMR 825-114. Number 16, recommend approval of authorizing the Road Commission for the Oakland County to complete pavement repairs on city-maintained roads approaches to Haggerty Road in coordination with their upcoming Haggerty Road Maintenance Project, CMR 825-115. Number 17, recommended adoption of Traffic Control Order TM 109-2025, left turn restriction at Hillside Elementary School, CMR 825-116. Number 18, acknowledgement of fourth quarter financial summary report and quarterly investment report. Number 19, recommend approval of a special event permit for Ishkan Lord Kisha First Festival to be held August 15th through August 17th, 2025. Number 20, recommended approval of rescheduling the regular city council meeting of September 29th, 2025 to September 22nd, 2025. Number 21, recommend approval of city council study session minutes of July 14th, 2025. Number 22, recommended approval of City Council regular session minutes of July 14, 2025. Number 23, recommended approval of City Council special joint study session minutes of July 21st, 2025. And that completes the report, my report.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion?
Madam Mayor, yes,
Mr.
I
Eldred, yes.
have a motion to approve the consent agenda as read by the Mayor Pro Tem.
thank you. We have a motion. Is there support? We have motion and support. Okay, yes.
We need to exclude items 21 and 22 from the motion, as Mr. Bridges was not there for the, for the meeting on July 14th.
Okay, would you like to amend your motion?
Yep, so amended.
Okay, and so it's all items but for 21 and 22, and you still support? Who seconded, Mr. Bridges?
I second.
Okay, all right. This is a roll call vote.
Council members Bolaware,
Yes.
Bridges,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Dwyer,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Aldred,
Yes.
and Mayor Rich.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, then do we have a motion for items 21 and 22?
Sure.
Yep, Ms.
I'll
Knoll?
make a motion to approve items 21 and 22 as so read by the Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Motion, is there support? We have motion and support. Also a roll call vote.
Council members Bridges,
Abstain.
Bruce,
Yes.
Dwyer,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Aldred.
Yes.
Bolaware,
Yes.
Mayor Rich.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, that then takes us to council member comments and announcements. Anyone have anything they would like to share? Mr. Bridges?
Thank you. I just want, I attended one of those Oakland Community College's engagement exercises. It was quite interesting. This is where Oakland County is considering a relationship with Little Caesars to bring in a AAA hockey club to Oakland County, to the campus there at OCC. And it was very insightful, informative. We had a number of residents from Farmington Hills attend, and Little Caesar is really interested in that site to bring in a AAA hockey club. They also have plans to build a 2,000 to 3,000 seat arena. So it's still in the early stages of discussion, but the interest is very high by Little Caesars with OCC, and it could be an exciting time for our city to bring a AAA hockey club to our city, along with the impact on the retail establishments in Farmington Hills as well. So, so good discussion. I look forward to that deal being consummated, but I was very happy to be there and look forward to further discussions about it.
Yep, filling up the hotels and bringing in new restaurants and all that good stuff. Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right, I have a couple things to share. One, Walk the Hawk is tomorrow at 7 p.m. for those who want to come share what might be on your mind. Tomorrow at 7. Continuing the second Tuesday of the month in September, that would be the 9th. And we're going to try one more time for 7 p.m. And then after that, we'll probably need to go indoors for the following months. So anybody have something they want to talk about? Come on by the Hawk Track tomorrow at 7. Last week, I had the opportunity to attend the Michigan Association of Mayors Conference, and we had 60, 70 mayors from all over the state. And it was, what I wanted to share in particular, though, is that it was held at the Portage Senior Center, which is a relatively new center. It is a public-private partnership. They have an organization that is similar to our Friends of the Library that provides a lot of support for it as well. It's a beautiful center. If you go to the Portage, Michigan website, they actually have a virtual tour of it available. What they don't do that we will need for whatever we provide for our seniors, they don't have a pool. They use other pools in the region. They do not do Meals on Wheels. That is done at the county level. And they do not do congregate meals, which we know are important to our community. So wanted to share that with you. And then finally, the Gibson Center is getting really close to opening. I think, Mr. Aldred, I saw you posted about going to their open house last weekend. They are having an open house for the community this Thursday from 3 to 6 p.m. Anybody who is interested in what they're going to be doing at the Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness or wanting to volunteer, this will be from 3 to 6 p.m. and it's just off of Northwestern Highway. And that's what I had to share. That then takes us to the city manager update.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just wanted to follow up on the proclamation for Jim Cabrera. He and Mary Kay left, but you know, just a class act. And you know, Jim always had no matter how tough he was, there's some developers maybe in the room, no matter how tough Jim may have been with some of the folks in the real estate community, he was always trying to do the right thing for the residents of the community and the city, bar none. He was a challenge to work with at times, but he's a really good guy, one of the best people I've ever worked with in my career. So congratulations to Jim and Mary Kay, and I'll have more to say at his retirement party. Also, just wanted to, since this is the first council meeting that we've had since the horrible accident on Orchard Lake Road, just pass along the city's sincerest sympathies to the family for their tragic loss, and a speedy recovery for others that were seriously injured as part of that accident. A very big thank you to our fire and police department personnel who responded so quickly to render aid. And, just remind everybody, these people, they're working out in traffic. Vehicles are obviously very heavy and very dangerous, and we're moving fast. There's a lot of construction out there. I know a lot of people are very frustrated with sitting in congestion and backups as a part of the construction. Please slow down. Please be cognizant. They have families too, and they want to go home at the end of the night. So that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That then takes us to unfinished business. Item 4 is consideration of approval of a planned unit development 2-2024, including site plan 56-8 2024 Mulberry Park and the Tabernacle multifamily housing located on 13 Mile Road, west of Middle Belt Road. This was postponed from May 12th, 2025, CMR 8-25106. And I note that we have a number of blue cards for people who would like to speak on this particular agenda item. So just for a protocol point of view, public comment on the PUD will happen as part of this prior to our voting. Public comment on anything else is at the end of the agenda. So if you wanted to give public comment on the PUD and did not mark this PUD, then please make sure we have your card. And if you have public comment for other items, we look forward to seeing that at the end of the meeting. We're good. So I'm only looking for PUD, and you're keeping those for me. Okay, great, thank you. All righty, good evening, Charmaine.
Good evening, Charmaine Kettler-Schmaltz, the Director of Planning and Community Development. I believe most in the room and perhaps many watching have seen this item come up previously, so we will abbreviate some of the more extended portions that we would typically go through. I'm going to do a real brief presentation of the history of the proposal. We're going to let our consultant from Giffords-Webster do a little bit more up-to-date information for you on the details of what has changed on this proposal. And then we can hear from the applicant before you get your public comments received. So the steps in the PUD process consist of the qualification. This location was qualified by the Planning Commission in April on the 18th in 2024. The Planning Commission subsequently saw and recommended approval of a plan after their public hearing. That was held in November 21st of 2024, and that moved on to City Council in January of 2025. So since that time, at the January meeting, it was postponed to a date certain, March the 3rd of 2025. You held your public hearing at that time. There was further deliberation and a decision to postpone until the May 12th meeting. At the May 12th meeting, there was further discussion, further updates, and that was postponed to the date certain of today, August the 11th. We have also had a couple of study sessions that the applicant has brought the council up to date on various changes to the plan through the process of modifying. So I'm going to send this over to our consultant to give you a little bit more information on what changes have occurred since the last time it was before you in May of 2025.
Thank you, Charmaine. Joe Tangari, Giffords-Webster, City Planning Consultant. Yes, so I will focus right in on the changes that have been made last time. There's been a change to the number of units overall. So they were at 65 the last time you saw them. They have reduced the number by 2 units to 63. There were 16 buildings previously. There are 17 now. That is due to the fact that the buildings at the southern end of the Mulberry portion have been reduced in terms of the number of units that are in each of those buildings. So there are more buildings now. Mulberry has 32 townhome units. Those are proposed to be for sale. And then those are all three bedrooms. The 31 ranch units in the Tabernacle portion are 55 plus. That is meant to be an extension of the Baptist Manor project to the west. In Mulberry Park, all units in buildings 1, 2, 3, and 4, those are the 4 at the southern end of the site, are 1-story ranch units, while buildings 5, 6, 7, and 8 are still 2 stories as they were before. Access to the site is still via that one driveway from 13 Mile and a connection to Baptist Manor to the west. Looking at the density, that has been reduced overall. We do it by room. That's been reduced overall from 229 to 221 rooms. One significant change there is that where previously, if you had separated the two halves of the project, Tabernacle and Mulberry Park, Tabernacle would have been under the density for the RC1 district, but Mulberry Park wouldn't. With the changes, both are now under the RC1 density. Setbacks also changed, specifically the rear setback, which is to the south. So Tabernacle, that half of it did not change at all. That's still at 83.41 feet. The Mulberry Park setback did change. It's at 74 feet, and that was previously 85.57 feet when those buildings were still 2 stories. The setbacks between those buildings along the southern edge of Mulberry Park have increased from 20 feet to 25 feet. Otherwise, we still have a couple of bold comments about landscaping. You still have the discretion to decide whether or not you feel that the screening that is provided on this plan is adequate. And also, there are a couple of adjustments that are needed to the tree removal statistics as well, and that is a carried over comment. But that is a summary of the things that have changed since the last time you saw this plan.
Okay.
If you have questions, or did you want to hear from the applicant?
Questions, or do we want to hear from the applicant? Okay, I think we're ready to hear from the applicant.
Well, I have one,
Go ahead, please.
one minor question. Sure. It's regarding the replacement trees. I think in the PUD, it says 464 trees are required. 415 will be planted within the development itself, and there are 49 replacement trees to be planted off-site. I don't know if this is a question that you could answer, Charmaine, or our attorney. For those 49 trees, if you live on the southern portion of the development, because there's been a lot of discussion regarding the screen there, is it possible, if the resident agree, that you can plant some of those 49 trees off-site on their property?
Well, off-site would be off-site.
Yeah. But
Lots to the south.
Yeah, but yes, with their consensus or agreement.
I don't know if there's any legal concerns with those locations.
Madam Mayor?
Please.
Yes, well, it would be a two-way street. Of course, those property owners would need to agree to it to allow access and entry upon their property for purposes of putting those trees in. And the developer would need to, indicate that that is something that they could do because they will be entering onto another party's property. So I think there will be an opportunity for them to comment on this, and that would help enable if you want to add, if council decides to add that as a condition or requirement, that way you know at least the developer is able to do it, but you need to be careful not to require it, because if the neighboring property owner doesn't agree, they can't comply with that condition.
Okay,
So a little caution on how you word it if you do include that as a condition.
all right, thank you.
Anyone else? All right, thank you. Let's hear from the proponent.
That one yours?
Yes, August. All right, well, good evening, members of the City Council. It is a pleasure to see you once again this evening. Again, Aaron Schaefer with Schaefer Development. On the Schaefer side, you're joined alongside my father, Stephen, as well as twin brother, Spencer. And then we have Brooks Cohen of Pulte Group in attendance. Again, Pulte will be the ultimate home builder for the Mulberry Park side, the part in blue. The Tabernacle in orange on the west is Baptist Manor. That will continue to be owned and operated and constructed by the Baptist Manor team. Wanted to congratulate Jim Cabrera on his 48 years of service. We were actually at a 100-year-old birthday party just earlier this week, so 48 years is quite a long time. I hope I can, eventually get to that point, in another 28 years from now, or give or take. I'll share a funny story. My father did, when he started, he was just young guys like Spencer and I, 20-something-year-olds, and, very strong-willed, and my brother took that same strong will. I'm more the lover, not the fighter. But, he was returning some plans to Jim, just had them rolled up, and Jim sat him down and had a stern conversation with him and told him how to fold them the right way. And when we first got into the office as children, our dad showed us how to fold the plans the same way, so wanted to share that with Jim. Might bring him a little bit of a smile. So again, good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be in front of you this evening. We are here to share our revised plan set for our 13-mile planned unit development project, which we are calling the Tabernacle Mulberry Park. I heard some of the questions brought during the meeting, so I will address the replacement trees. That is one of the things I would like to talk about to address Councilwoman Boulware's comment. We did have conversations with numerous residents that live along that southern property line. We did express that we would be willing to plant trees on their properties. However, the majority said they would rather just see more hardy trees, like an evergreen tree that retains foliage on all 4 seasons. So as a result of us being 49 trees deficient, we really have 2 options. We can either upsize the trees we have along our southern property line in what we label that tree preservation area. I think that would go a lot longer way than planting saplings. Likewise, we have said this since the very beginning, we do have deficient trees. We'd be more than happy to work to plant them along the Baptist Manor frontage of their existing campus. So whether it's a hybrid of the 2, whether we just upsize the trees and figure out what the calculation is to get us 49 trees away, to get rid of that 49 tree deficiency by putting in a larger DBH, decibel breast height tree, we're more than amenable to talking through that. So if that's one of the conditions, I would welcome that we discuss that in greater detail during the Q&A session of the presentation. So again, just wanted to refresh everybody's memories. The subject property is 12.46 acres, and it straddles the following 7 properties in front of you. The Tabernacle has 4 parcels. Mulberry Park consists of 3 parcels. And recall that that first duplex unit on Detroit Baptist Drive, as part of the approval this evening, it would be our intention to knock that building down to provide a direct vehicular connection from our development to the signalized intersection at 13 Mile and Detroit Baptist Drive. Just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention once more, especially some of the new faces I'm seeing here in the audience. So based on our May City Council hearing, there was a request to perform really a holistic understanding of the brokerage listings, the sales data, what properties have traded for on the south side of 13 Mile between the existing Baptist Manor campus and Cove Creek on the hard corner of 13 and Middle Belt. And Dr. Bruce, I hope this answers a lot of the questions you had at the May hearing. I really want to tell the story by going west to east. The Tabernacle in orange, Mulberry Park in blue, and finally the parcels to the east in red. So the Tabernacle, the 2 addresses you see, 30005 and 30115 West 13 Mile Road. Baptist Manor had acquired these 2 properties in 2014 and 2016, respectively. The two sites without addresses with the parcel ID numbers, which are south of that box, kind of where Holly Hill Farms is, you'll see that those parcels were donated to Baptist Manor back in 2000 in exchange for the individuals living in those homes could live rent-free on the Baptist Manor campus. So understand that Baptist Manor has been paying taxes for 26 years on the 4 properties they own along 13 Mile. Moving over to Mulberry Park, the parcels in blue. These parcels were all acquired by the broker NAI Farben to Moby Investments and the Chaldean Community Foundation between the years of 2015 and 2021 for a combined sales price of the 3 parcels for $590,000. As a matter of complete transparency, I want to let you know where we're acquiring these properties for so everyone understands where the dollars and cents are going. We are under contract to purchase the 3 Mulberry Park Chaldean Community Foundation parcels for $900,000. That leads for a surplus to the Chaldean Community Foundation of about $310,000. In summary, please understand and appreciate that the sales proceeds account for the Chaldean Community Foundation's time value of money for holding onto the assemblage for over a decade, as well as the costs associated with preparing their prior 100-unit multifamily development proposal. In addition to the 10-plus years they've been paying taxes and the entitlement costs related to their prior development proposal, the foundation has invested well over 6 figures to date into the city of Farmington Hills and general development expenses. This investment will only be recouped through the sale of the property, leaving limited profit for the foundation after covering all these expenses. So just understand and appreciate, nobody is getting rich off this deal. We have, put it under contract for a price we believe is fair. The Chaldean Community Foundation has a little bit of upside between all the money they spent on the prior 100-unit proposal, holding onto the property, and being a taxpayer for north of 10 years. There's little, if not any, that they're going to profit off of. So I just wanted to be clear and transparent for the record. You can see some of the parcels to the east. We can talk about these in greater detail. Some of these landowners recently bought these properties. Others have held it for quite a long time. One thing I would like to note is the parcel just west of Cove Creek, which is 29649 13 Mile Road. That individual is asking almost $750,000 for their property, just to give you an understanding of where the economics are in today's day and age. Any other questions you have, more than welcome to discuss this during Q&A. Moving into the site plan submittal, I am very excited to announce some of the changes we have made to the recent plan. As staff had mentioned, our prior plan had 65 units. We're now down to 63 units, and the 3 major changes are as follows. You can see the item in red. We have replaced every single 2-story townhouse on the east side of the development, the Mulberry Park side of the development, from a 2-story townhouse to a 1-story ranch duplex. And what a duplex is a 2-unit building with 1 shared wall. So all of the units along the southern property line, abutting up to the 9 landowners in Holly Hill Farms, will be 1 story in character, no taller than 20 feet tall. I can talk about that in greater detail and how that changes the setbacks later on in the presentation. Change number 2, the change you see here in blue on the left side of the screen. We have increased all of the side yard setbacks between buildings from 20 feet to 25 feet. So there is additional 5-foot and side yard setback addition along every single unit, those 7 building runs on the south side of the property. Finally, item 3 in purple. This only impacts the Mulberry Park side, as Joe so eloquently stated during his summation. You can see here that the reduced rear yard setback to help accommodate the larger ranch duplex footprint. Understand we had a 2-story townhouse. We could skinny up the envelope and the footprint because you have 2 living floors. As a result of the ranch, things had to get a little wider. And again, these units on the Mulberry Park side, the east side, are going to be for sale. The west side, the Tabernacle, is going to be 55 and older, age-restricted apartment homes. very comparable to the existing Baptist Manor campus. And actually, later this month, we're going to be unveiling our PUD presentation on the existing Baptist Manor campus, where since we're going to be knocking down that first duplex, and some of those units on Detroit Baptist are some of the oldest units on the entire Baptist Manor campus, we are looking to do a slightly larger sixplex unit on some greenfield land there to help accommodate the loss so that folks aren't displaced during construction. So again, just giving you a teaser as to what's to come. Now, this does a better job of illustrating the changes from May to August. Again, this is just the southeast quadrant of the development where we had the 12 townhouse units stretched across 3 buildings to the 8 duplex units we now have stretched across 4 buildings. Again, that southeasternmost quadrant of the project. You can see that due to this larger building footprint, our building and patio setbacks encroach slightly more than what we had before. The Tabernacle Mulberry Park side will honor the same setback you see in the May plan, where it's 86 feet and 76 feet respectively. On the east side of the plan, Mulberry Park, is where the things change a little bit. There was a comment at last month's study session that I would again like to reiterate and might come to the satisfaction of the residents sitting here tonight. There is an opportunity where that southern sidewalk, where you see the sidewalk in front of those 4 yellow buildings, where we could remove that southernmost sidewalk to pick up an additional 5 feet in depth. Again, that road currently has sidewalks along the north side and the south side of the road. We'd be more than happy to consider or investigate or entertain eliminating that sidewalk and maybe providing some additional pedestrian north-south connections so that folks can utilize that central pathway as well as those pathways along 13 Mile and the right-of-way. I would encourage that be something we talk about during Q&A to help ultimately bring those setbacks to 79 feet from the back of the building to the southern property line, or 71 feet from the very edge of the patio to the southern property line. Understand that in your ordinance, a rear yard setback is calculated by the actual building elevation where that terminates. But I wanted to provide you, as well as any interested residents here, which we've done since the very beginning, we presented this absolute clarity where the edge of that development stops, which is at that patio setback. So again, any questions you have on that and the potential relocation or removal of the sidewalk, I'd welcome discussing that during Q&A. So really wanted to bring things home. When we first presented this to you in January, we had 76 units on roughly 12 acres for a density of 6.3 units to the acre. And through the numerous iterations, through the numerous designs, we have lost a total of 13 units on the entire plan. This results in a 17% reduction in density, 17% over what we first presented to you in January. So I hope that is envisioned and seen as a win. Understand too, the property is master planned flex residential. And flex residential states that you have the opportunity to go above and beyond the underlying density in the zoning map in exchange for 2 considerations. 1, exceptional open space. We believe we have that as a result of this plan. 2, as large of a possible of a setback to any adjacent neighbors. And again, we're at 71 at the very minimum, but we have the opportunity to increase that up to, I forgot what I had said, an additional 5 feet if we were to get rid of that southerly sidewalk. So again, just wanted to bring that to your attention. Now the more fun part, again, for any new faces here and just to remind everybody, because it has been some time, I want to showcase all of the renderings for the development. So here you see the renderings for the Tabernacle, the west side of the development, the 31 units on the west side abutting the existing Baptist Manor campus. All of these units will be 1-story in nature. These are the 55 and better apartment homes. And they have a building height of about 17 feet total, well below the 30-foot requirement in the ordinance. Now moving to Mulberry Park, this is that interior horseshoe where we have the townhouses. You can get an understanding of the design and character and architectural intrigue. If you would like to see a built version of this project, I would welcome that you go to Northville Glades in Northville Township. It's just across the street from Cantoro, one of our favorite restaurants. You can see what this exact product looks like in real life. Finally, I want to showcase those 8 ranch duplex we're going to have in the southeast quadrant on Mulberry Park. This is a brand-new product that Pulte Group has not built anywhere in the United States, where it's a duplex with that shared wall down the middle. If you would like to see what this unit looks like as a detached single-family home, I'd welcome you to go visit Kensington Ridge by Del Webb in Milford Township off of I-96 and Milford Road, where you can see this exact product being built. This is a B elevation, and should we receive any positive approval this evening, it would be our intention to sit down with the folks at Pulte, sit down with the folks at Baptist Manor, and talk about the architecture to ensure, since this is a collective PUD, that although the ranch products are slightly different as well as the townhouse, to create a similar color palette and hue and overall architectural design so it blends quite nicely. Because I know that was something that we talked about, in the earlier months of this presentation, is ensuring that compatibility and ensuring that this all feels like a nice community and it all matches. So with that, I really want to thank you for the time this evening. I know we covered quite a bit, so I will open up the floor to any questions and comments you may have. And again, for any interested residents, if you would like to, introduce yourselves to myself, my brother Spencer, my father Stephen, we do have business cards. We want to maintain an open and transparent line of communication. Even though this is the last hearing with the city, we will still communicate with the neighbors. If there are residents that are interested in doing some plantings in their rear yards, that is something that we are 100% not against. It's just we need to have folks come up to us and say, hey, if that's something of interest, we'll gladly sit down and discuss. But again, 49 trees deficient. We're willing to increase the size of those trees, to create some, nicer buffers between us and Holly Hill Farms, and then some of the other things I discussed as well. So again, thank you so much for your time.
All right, questions? Dr. Bruce?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the information, especially the data on the sales of these properties or how they've been traded back and forth. But I guess it confuses me a little bit more because I remember at the very beginning of this process, I thought that it was represented to us that these properties had been, there was an attempt at some point to sell these properties, and these properties were not sellable as RA1 properties. And I've not ever seen any evidence that these properties were ever put up for sale and marketed to the general public as RA1 properties to be built on. So I'm not sure where we're at with this because to me that's a very important distinction or evidence that have these ever been marketed to the general public as RA1 properties, because I think they could be sold and developed that way. And now it looks like they've never been put up for sale in that regard. They've been traded or they've been bought by you guys or other people and held on to for several years and never just sold to the general public or attempt to be sold in that regard.
So prior to Moby's acquisition of the parcels in 2022, 2021, and 2015, these parcels were marketed by NAI Farben. I don't know whether they were for RA1 or what kind of fugazi number they had in mind when they were trying to sell them.
Know for how much, how long they were for sale, anything like that?
All I know is I'm 28 years old and I cannot recall a time I did not see a for sale sign on most of these properties.
So you haven't seen a for sale sign?
I have seen a for sale sign. I apologize. I know they've been marketed. They clearly haven't traded for RA1. I mean, understand that this isn't Telegraph Road in Bloomfield Hills where people are building $1 million McMansions. This is a little different character, but we talked to Moby, we talked to Baptist Manor, and that was the best information we could get. So
we really don't know if these have ever been tried to be sold.
They've had a for sale sign in them, so I envision they were trying to sell them. But for what amount and for how much the broker did homework on the underlying zoning and master plan, I can't speak to that.
Do you know how long ago it was that they were last put up for sale?
They've been up for sale for about almost 3 years.
How long ago?
I'm sorry?
How long ago?
When they were, right after they were purchased.
By who?
By Moby. And then they decided to do a development there. They bought it originally as investment parcels. Anybody could have come along and bought it for any reason. So there was a for sale sign. If they wanted to pay the price, it would have been sold. It wouldn't have it wasn't marketed as a development or, anything other than what it was on its face.
So these were put up as RA1 pieces of property and
They were put up.
Moby came in and bought them up. in hopes of getting a development later on.
Yeah, but the zoning never changed, and it was for
Right.
sale. So anybody that would buy it, any reasonable person would look at the zoning ordinance and say, it's RI1. Or you'd look at your master plan, well, what could you develop here? I think what maybe they envisioned was a little bit more aggressive, because it's more than half of what we're proposing. But it was always for sale. The one down at the east end has been for sale for 20 years, the broker told me. There's been a sign out there for almost 20 years.
Okay.
So properties have gone up for sale. There've been numerous different brokerages that went up for sale, but nobody ever marketed it as a development parcel or that you can get X, Y, or Z. It's just basically whatever the zoning was on its face,
So-
is what it was being sold for.
So for months, I've asked for evidence that these were put up for sale, and I've just never seen like the actual listings that these were put up for sale.
I will deliver a letter to you from Fardman. I'd be happy to.
Well, I've asked for that for months, and I still haven't gotten it, so.
I told you
it's
I'd
too
get to
late.
the background. We
Yeah.
just did our best, but I understand.
So how long has Moby owned these properties now?
Moby has, the first one, 29115, they've owned it since November 29 of 2022. The middle parcel, 29915, they bought it in August 25th of 2015. And finally, the one on the easternmost boundary at 29845, they acquired that back in February 17th of 2021.
Do you know
So they've
why-
had land holdings from 2015 up to 2021 and have been a taxpayer of the city of Farmington Hills since.
I know you probably can't speak for Moby, but do you know why they've let these homes rot and why they've allowed garbage and boats and cars and construction materials to be put on these properties and to be made so just ugly? Because if you're trying to market and sell properties, I would think you'd want to clean them up
Yeah.
and make them marketable, so when we're told that these are unsellable as RE1, and then the properties look like just littered
also
properties, it
appreciate-
doesn't add up, doesn't make sense.
Also appreciate, Dr. Bruce, that the parcels even east of Moby have been marketed for 2 decades, 3 decades. They have not been shown as development parcels other than Cove Creek Phase 2, which didn't go into fruition. I'm doing the best I can, given the
I understand
information
that, but just understand my concern here is that I know, living in the city for 40 years, that you can sell anything in the city. You can sell any piece of property here. People do, they buy them up, and they develop them as residential homes or whatever else. So to me, if a property is for sale, I go by this place all the time. I don't recall a sign being out there for 20 years. But I don't have any evidence, again, that's been presented to me that says this property was for sale for this price, marketed this way for this many years. And I've asked for that, and I've never seen anything like that. We just keep being told that they can't be sold, and development is RE1, which I have a hard time believing. And then I see how the condition of these properties have been over the last 15 or more years, and not been a very good citizen, not been a very good property owner as far as I'm concerned. You know, if you're a good citizen, well, yeah, you're paying your taxes, but that doesn't mean you allow homes to rot and you store garbage and use them as a dump for the
Yeah.
city. That's not being a good citizen.
Yeah.
And, you know, so.
Listen, Dr. Bruce, I don't mean to cut you off. I appreciate your frustration. I'm just the developer.
Right.
I'm not the landowner. I can't speak to what the landowner's intentions were. But if you read between the lines, I think you might understand why. They've been working on this for quite some time, and they had a hard time. They didn't get their proposal. You know, the gentleman who owns the property contacted my father and said, listen, I know you're the guru in Farmington Hills. You've done a lot in the past. I know you and your 2 bright sons, you know, pass by this property. It's close to your office. Do something right here so that we can all, you know, walk away, you know, without a, you know, pitchfork in your you know what. So if you want to have a meeting with the landowner and the brokers at NAI Fardman and everyone, just tell you the whole history, I'm more than happy to set that up. I know it would probably be too late after the fact, but I know that might be something that would go the long way so that you at least understand the full story,
Yeah,
more so than I do.
wish I would have had the data before now, because I've been asking for months.
I understand. I'm doing the best I can, Dr. Bridge, or Dr. Bruce. But thank you very much for your feedback.
Mr. Bridges.
Thank you. Mr. Schaefer, thank you for coming. We appreciate it. But the central question is that Mr. Bruce has asked for these data for some time now. You haven't provided it. So it really comes to the point that there is an avoidance of providing the data, information that was requested months ago. So I'm concerned about that because the data has been requested for some time now, and it goes to the central question regarding the marketability of this property as an RA1, and the fact that there was opportunities to put this property on the market, and it's a history of putting it on the market as RA1. And you've been asked this data for some time, and you never provided it. I know you say you can get it after the fact, but that's a central point in regards to, are you avoiding the zoning there because of the fact that it's zone RA1, you try to go for RC1, and that's a substantial change from the previous zoning. And that information is critical from a standpoint of understanding the history of the data of the property there. RA1, as you know, is one of the most restricted zoning that's possible in our city. RA1, low density, and you're going to put in an RC1, proposed RC1, which is going to increase the density substantially in that area. And I've been on this council for 17 years, and I've always felt that neighborhoods are very strong in our community, and they need to be protected. People move to Farmington Hills because of the rural character, the open space, the wooded lots, and where they're present. And this project will somewhat disturb that, in my viewpoint. I know that, so the issue regarding can this property be marketed as an RA1 is critical to understanding your proposal. And the fact is that without that data that Mr. Bruce had asked for, it could help clear up a lot that there's a history of promoting this project as RA1. And I know you don't own the property. However, it does, one can have a logical conclusion that there's been an effort to try to prepare this property for something other than RA1 over the years. And without you not providing that data, it calls into question that was the plan all along.
So thank you very much for your feedback, Mr. Bridges, and I want to provide some clarity. And, I'd have to look back at the exact minutes and what was said at the study sessions versus the hearings. But if I recall, it was Dr. Bruce's request that we only show the economics of the property and what it traded for. Understand these have been marketed for 20 plus, 30 plus years. A lot of brokers I speak with don't even know what the zoning or the master plan is for what they're even trying to sell. So I'm not a broker. I don't want to speak ill of them. But what I want to mention, because this is something that's relevant to all of you, is everyone voted on the master plan here, and the master plan change on this parcel is flex residential. And flex residential understands the fact that there are some challenging parcels in the city of Farmington Hills. This was maybe one of 4 parcels that had that flex residential moniker. So I think there was an understanding if these sat for 30 or 40 plus years as RA1, nothing happened, master plan changed to flex residential, and someone saw an opportunity to do something different here versus traditional run-of-the-mill RA1 zoning. You've got Baptist Manor, which is technically considered an RC3 development, where we ran through the numbers there, and it was like 16 or 17 rooms per acre, because that's how you calculate multifamily density in the community, is by the number of rooms versus the number of units. So I think there was an understanding if the master plan category changed from a residential character that mirrored RA1 to a flex residential character, that something's broken here, and the flex residential opportunity provides this opportunity to have a dialogue, to do a PUD, to do something creative, to do something innovative. And by the letter of the law stated in your master plan, exceptional open space and rear yard setbacks to adjacent neighbors. We ran through the exercise, and I wish I would have put it in the plan, where we did 2 residential layouts. One that had 10 to 12 curb cuts along 13 Mile with no stormwater management that would do nothing to help the stormwater issues that each and every Holly Hills neighbor has expressed. And we said, and we've shown exhibits time and time again, that 90%, 85 to 90% of the runoff is going to be from this development is going to be captured by our stormwater basin, while anything south in that tree preservation area, in an effort to preserve that and create as large of a buffer as possible, do that to help meet the spirit and intent. So I understand the trials and tribulations of the RA1. I know these properties were marketed. They've been marketed for numerous times. I can't go into the landowners' heads or the brokers' heads if they specifically told interested parties that called is, listen, this is RA1. You're only going to get 6 units units or 8 units or 10 units, or do a cluster and maybe get 14 or 20 units, whatever the number is. So I think if these was sat for quite a long time, the writing was more or less on the wall, that the flex residential provided that category to do something unique. I wish I could answer your question in better detail, but that's the best I have at this
Your
moment.
case would have been a lot more stronger if that data was available, okay? I just want to ask a question from the planning consultant. Could you give us interpretation of what flex zoning really means? Or what that really means and how that should be interpreted from a master plan standpoint? The master plan also states that we should be protecting our neighborhoods. We should be protecting the character of this community regarding open space, wooded lots, and making sure that master plan says a lot about protecting the character of Farmington Hills neighborhoods as well. How do you interplay those 2 points regarding flex zoning and this desired goal of the master plan, which is to protect Farmington Hills neighborhoods to keep its character and its natural conditions?
Sure. So if I know that folks listening don't have the letter in front of them necessarily, but if you go to page 7 of the letter in of the review letter, you'll see a description of the flex residential category that accompanies the future land use map in the master plan. So the flex residential category is intended to acknowledge the challenging nature of redevelopment of the designated land and allow for a variety of approaches to future residential projects. Such approaches may include clustering of detached or attached units, constructing units in a townhome, row house, or cottage court format, duplexes, triplexes, or quadplexes in either side-by-side or stacked arrangements, and with a height of 1 to 3 stories. In all cases, density beyond that permitted in the current zoning district should be tied to the provision of preserved open space and especially natural buffers to adjacent established neighborhoods. For more detail on the sites in the city that are identified for this category, see special residential planning areas in the following chapter. And then that chapter that follows addresses this specific area by saying the flex residential future land use category isn't applied to this planning area. Redevelopment could occur in a variety of formats, from small detached units to attached units built as townhomes, small multiplex buildings, or a mix of multiple styles. This category recommends clustering of units. Where a portion of the site is developed, planning for cross connections to future redevelopment should be integrated into site design, and increases in density should be tied to deep buffering from the neighborhood to the south, including preservation of the natural vegetation to the greatest extent possible. So those are the 2 primary descriptions for this area in the master plan. There is a portion of the plan that also speaks to residential density and has a residential density map. There are some more specific numbers in there. There was some concern about applying a specific number in the master plan to a discretionary approval as if it were a zoning standard, given that the number is meant as guidance for the potential development of a future zoning district or overlay. Development of a district or overlay is a process that involves its own research and study, and depending on what changes or is found in the meantime, the end result might be different from what's found in the plan in terms of specific numbers. The general guidance of the other 2 plan sections are referenced in the master plan, provides guidance that is specific to this site, and that's been accounted for during review. And also the general guidance speaks to a vision for the city in terms of buffering and how transitions to neighboring properties are handled.
Thank you, appreciate that. My last comment is to the city attorney. Will this type of decision, we make a affirmative decision to move this project forward, we approve it, will it be precedent setting for the city going forward in regards to similar projects across the city?
Well, in the sense that in order to establish a precedent that would bind the city for another project going forward, you would have to get substantially the same project on a property that is substantially the same circumstances. Highly unlikely, very unlikely. Every property is very unique, has its own unique characteristics and so on and so forth. So my answer to that would be I'd be highly unlikely to set any sort of a precedent. There is a newer twist with this project that is interesting from your master plan, which is the contemplation of this flex zoning and working through a PUD to implement that. That can also be implemented through a zoning ordinance amendment, which probably would be coming forward at some point in the future. But a PUD legitimately can, I believe, refer to that to some extent in your discretion. If you look to that as this being a proper property for it and so on and so forth, and you've received some input in that. So in terms of precedent, that aspect of this could be something that if you look to that flex zoning for this, it could potentially be looked to for other properties, but not necessarily granted. So again, the probability is low there, but that's an added little piece of this that I think is worth thinking about in terms of precedent setting.
Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it. All set. Thank you.
Ms. Mel?
Thank you, Mr. Bridges.
Yeah, I have a question about square footage. So there's 17 buildings proposed, and so far we've been talking about the number of rooms because that's how the density is calculated, through the number of rooms. But could you tell me what the square footage, the total square footage of the 17 buildings, what that equates to? So not the number of rooms, I know the number of rooms, but if you just add up the square footage of the 17 buildings?
So the the Tabernacle side, which consists, and we can kind of go through the arithmetic live because I didn't have that prepared for me. But the 31 Tabernacle units are roughly, what is it, Spencer, 1,250, 1,300 square feet?
The Tabernacle units,
Yeah. And Brooks, what's your square footage for your two-story towns, like 22 to 2,400?
No, it's like 1,800. The multi-town
Yeah.
1,860 square feet.
So you do 1,860 times 24. So that's 40, and this is just the Mulberry, we'll start with the Mulberry Park side. And then we've got 8 units, and refresh my memory on what the floor plate is for the,
1,774.
so 1,774, we'll do 1,774 times 8, so it's 14K, 45K, and then Tabernacle, what did we say it's like 1,250?
Times how many? 31.
Times 31.
39,000.
So give me 45K plus 14K plus 39K, and that's the total number.
39 plus 14.
Plus 45. Okay. 98,000 total. I hope that provides some clarity, Councilwoman Knoll.
It does, thank you.
And I can get you the exact numbers, I'm going off of.
No, that's close enough for my comparison. Thanks.
Anything else?
No, not right now.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, could you go back, please, to the one where you showed how long things had been on market? That one, yep. So I hear my colleagues about not having details for listings for these 3 in particular parcels, but I'm also cognizant of what you're showing here about the, thank you, 29701, which was acquired in 1990, for sale for a little over double the value from 1990, which, is consistent with what's gone on with my house that I got in 92. But this has been on the market for 20 years for $295, which is about the same size parcel, just down the street, and about the same amount of money that you are all offering to put these properties under contract.
Mm-hmm.
And I note that this residence right next to it, the 29711, which was just purchased in 2024, don't know by whom.
Again, I wanted, for the sake of anonymity, I just wanted to show the addresses.
Yeah, thank you. But that's in ballpark for what Schaefer's offering to put these properties right next door under contract. And we don't know how long that was on the market.
Which one?
The 29711.
No.
That's an existing residence. It was just acquired a year ago.
No,
A year and a half ago. So we don't know how long that was on the market.
Correct.
Or Aaron, do you know?
Well, you
Spencer,
might.
there was an individual out of state out in California, the mother who I think passed away at like 97, 98, that was roughly 2 to 3 years ago. So that property was likely on the market for plus or minus 2 years before it was sold.
Okay, thank you. And the other one, it's an existing residence, as we know. And that was acquired a little over a decade ago. So, I mean, we do know that some of these properties, which are quite comparable, have been languishing at this same price point for a long time. If something's been listed for 20-plus years, that kind of asks and answers the question of, is it something that's marketable? And then similarly, the one where it's the residence, the 29649 existing residence that was purchased in 96, where they're asking $750, not really a shock that there are no pending offers, right? I mean, that's not really priced for sale. So, and then Cove Creek, that's supposed to expand, we'll see. But that's been listed for 6 years for $400 with no pending offers. So, I can empathize with the difficulty of doing something with the property as an RA1. That was really all I had at this point in time. So before we open it up to public comment, we're ready for public comment? Okey dokey. All right, folks, for those who have not been to public comment before, the rules are that public comment is for 3 minutes. We'll have the timer going. I will let you know who is going to be speaking and the next two who will be following so that we can keep this moving. As you can see, I have a fairly thick stack of people who want to talk about this particular issue, and we look forward to hearing from all of you. So just based on the order in which I received them, Eric Schmidt will be first, followed by Craig LaPointe and Lindsay Matich third.
Great.
Good evening.
Good evening. City Council, residents, other members of city staff, thank you for giving me a few moments to talk today. A couple of things came up while we were listening to the new changes. I believe that the homes were going to be sold for between $450,000 and $650,000 based upon the last couple of meetings we had attended. That's around $28 million. So with a 5% profit margin, that's $1.5 million going to the developers. Sounds like a pretty decent deal. So somebody will be making some money off of these. The setbacks that have decreased for us seems unreasonable. I think that having flex zoning makes sense, but as stated, it's at the discretion of the city council. I think that this will set a bad precedent. The precedent that is being set here is you don't need to replace the trees on the property. There were two options given, I believe, to help remedy that. Well, the most obvious option is to not remove those trees, to not have that many buildings here, to simply get rid of that entire back row of buildings. You get rid of that back row of buildings, the setback is clear, the drainage issues will hopefully not get any worse, the trees don't need to be planted off-site on somebody else's property, everything can stay pretty much the same, and the developers will have an opportunity to make some money. Mr. Schaefer brought up a point about Fugazi numbers. Well, I think the Fugazi numbers here are the numbers that are being provided for what those properties were going to be offered for. Mr. Spies, who's unfortunately not here today, I don't believe, he gave us a comment that he had called the developers or called Moby, asked about one of the properties, and was told $1.1 million. I'm not trying to say that that is exactly what occurred, but I'm pretty sure that Moby has been stonewalling this, and the precedent being set today is if you bully Farmington Hills, they will acquiesce to you. You don't need to follow the rules. And I encourage the city council today, if there is an opportunity to vote, to hold firm and to not allow this particular development to go through. I think developments need to happen. I think new housing needs to happen. Something with this property does need to happen, but it doesn't need to happen at the cost of all of the concessions that the city would have to make in order for it to go through. There can be more concessions provided on behalf of the developers and the landowners to have a more equitable resolution to this problem. Again, development makes sense. The property values make some sense here, but bullying us into the trees, making sure that people wouldn't be able to buy these properties simply so that they could do this development, I believe that that's what's happened here. And as he said, anybody with a reasonable state of mind could be able to see that that is what Moby was trying to do this entire time. I will give some props to Baptist Manor. They did remove a lot of the trash on their property, so thanks for that.
Thank you. Craig LaPointe, to be followed by Lindsay Matich.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Craig LaPointe. I live in Holly Hill Farms, lot number 93. And I'm just going to go over a couple of my concerns that I had from day one. Property value. It's most definitely going to affect my property value. That's a big concern. It's going to have an impact on my privacy. And when I moved here 25 years ago into a single-family residential home, which I surrounded by the same type of structures which fit my expectations. If it's zoned residential, then please keep it that way. One of the biggest things for sure is water management, and I haven't gotten a reasonable explanation on that yet. I've had several of you out there who've walked the property with me and seen what was going on. Recently, we had quite a bit of rain, and I took the opportunity to go out there and videotape what was going on. And it was too large of a video to email to you. I've given it to Carly. I would encourage you to look at it. It's just a 2-minute video. But just since this past year, things have changed dramatically on the flow of water. And not to any advantage to me. So there was a wetland behind us that used to fill with water, and when that would fill after that, then my yard would flood. Now it doesn't do that, it just floods my yard. So I don't know what's changed since then, but when you see the video, it'll be pretty apparent that something's going on. So once again, I'm opposed to it, and thank you very much for your time.
Yeah. Lindsay Matich, followed by Catherine Leake.
For the last 80 years, 13 Mile and Middle Belt has been home to peaceful neighborhoods surrounded by nature. The homes along 13 Mile were built in the 40s. Holly Hill Farms and Westgate followed suit in the 50s and 60s, and Cove Creek was built in the 80s. In the last decade, the landowners of this proposal acquired historic homes on 13 Mile and intentionally neglected them in pursuit of profit. These lots became dumping grounds for abandoned cars, and habitable homes became blighted properties. They showed absolutely no concern for our community and are now asking for massive redevelopment by partnering with a developer who also does not care about our community. When the master plan called for tree preservation to the greatest extent possible, the developers aimed to remove over half of the total trees. They also falsified their tree charts to inaccurately overstate the number of preserved trees and then boasted about their alleged preservation. When the master plan suggested using the existing natural flow of the site to mitigate stormwater through low-impact design, the developers aimed to build on top of wetlands, regrade 80% of the site, and admitted 20% of the site would flood our yards. Instead of improving the projected F traffic rating, the developers hired an analyst to manipulate data to worsen the present-day conditions of the traffic study. When the master plan required a minimum 100-foot setback, the developers claimed their 66-foot setback was sufficient open space and the reason they met any city objectives. A PUD must benefit the existing community. It cannot be used to circumvent the zoning or in place of a zoning change. It cannot be used when the added service and facility loads are not supported or used to solely increase density. This PUD's attempt to change the zoning from RA1 to RC1, the F traffic rating, runoff problems, and aggressively demanding the highest possible density are all reasons to deny it. When the future land use map classified this area as flex residential, legally the zoning did not change. The future land use map is not a zoning map, and flex residential is not found in the zoning ordinance. Flex residential is an unproven and undefined concept that should not be tested in our community, and zoning cannot be changed with a PUD. We have made it very clear through years of public comment that we want to keep the RA1 zoning. The intentional negligence of these landowners should not be rewarded with massive redevelopment on the false assumption these lots are undesirable. A proposal should not require deception to force its way into our neighborhoods. This plan ignores the guidance designed to benefit the community while increasing the density beyond the capacity of the area. The developers have tried to scare us into believing something else could be worse, but I know there is a better solution. If this truly benefited the existing community, then we would not be strongly opposing it. I urge you to deny this accordingly. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Catherine Leake to be followed by John Nagoda.
My name is Catherine Leake. I live on Richmond Hill in Westgate subdivision. I oppose this complete development for the same reasons as most of the people, but also for the reason that our lifestyle will totally and completely change. Both Holly Hill Farms and Westgate subdivisions will have a totally different lifestyle because of the density of these homes, because of the density of the traffic, because of the restrictions against trees, because of the restrictions against the animals that live there. We live there for the wildlife. I have deer in my backyard. I have fawns born in my backyard. We enjoy that lifestyle, and they are going to cut it down the middle through the heart. The last time we were here at a meeting, one of the Schaefer boys, and I don't know which one, said to the council, "We don't know what you want us to do." Well, the residents want you to make a smaller development, an RA1, put 28 homes on 12 acres, or 32 homes on 12 acres, not 64, not 63, not 50, because that's the way that particular area has been developed in the past, and it has always worked. And as to the 3 lots that Mobi purchased, when people were asking to purchase one of them, they were told there were 3 lots for sale, not one at a time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Leake. John Nagoda to be followed by Michelle Nagoda.
Oh. Mayor, council members, my name is John Nagoda. My wife, Michelle, who's going to be here shortly, and I raised our family 43 years here in Farmington Hills in the same home. All righty. I've attended every council meeting that we've had regarding this PUD. And quite honestly, my position has not changed. This PUD must be denied. RA1 must remain. It was designated an R1 community for a reason. And that reason was to keep the charm that we have here in Farmington Hills. Sure, something has to be put on there, but we don't need 75 homes. You don't need 60. You don't need 50 homes. It's got to be reasonable, okay? In addition, the RA1 will preserve the character and charm of our community, all right? And that's what Farmington Hills really is. We're getting ourselves so big that we're losing our identity, in my opinion. We need to put the brakes on a little bit. 3 gas stations at 12 Mile and Middle Belt? Come on, folks. But that's another story. All righty. Additionally, I'd just like to point out that our community should not be responsible for the Chaldean Charities' financial decisions. If they're not going to make as much profit on this deal as they thought they did, well, that's too bad. That's called doing business. These folks knew, and anybody involved in this, knew that these properties were coded RA1. And they did that, but figured they're going to be able to change it. We'll work around the system. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm tired of people working around the system. I encourage you to do the right thing and deny this PUD. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Michelle Nagoda, to be followed by Adam Peplowski.
Okay, there we go. I am Michelle Nagoda, live with him 52 years, 43 of them here. And while I understand the Schaefer's passion for this project, I want them and you to understand what I have for my neighborhood, the passion I have for my neighborhood. I don't know if any of you, I know some of you have probably driven through there. And I don't know if you've driven through Holly Farms. We don't have 60-some homes on 12 acres, nor should there be across the street. You're talking about preserving neighborhoods. Neighborhoods are 30 homes, 35 homes, but they're not 60-some homes that are just stacked all together. I'm also worried about the ingress and egress for our subdivision. I know they're going to put an entrance exit down at Baptist Manor, but they also said there would still be one across the street from Westgate. It is dangerous there. I know they said there was you had to wait 7 seconds to make a turn. Come to my house at 3 or 3:30 or 4 o'clock. I dare you to get out in 7 seconds. You have to rely on the kindness of strangers to let you out and hope you don't get hit if you're making a left-hand turn out of there. We've been going through this now for, 2, 3 years. I agree with my husband. Something's going to be developed on there, but not 60-plus homes. It doesn't fit in the neighborhood. It's just a wrong thing to do. And I think you folks have the duty to preserve our neighborhoods and make sure that equal things are done on other pieces of property so as not to just make it, here's 6 homes, here's 35. It doesn't match. It doesn't match, and I hope you won't allow it. Thank you.
Thank you. Adam Peplowski, to be followed by Adele Letterman.
Hello, my name is Adam Peplowski. I live in the Westgate subdivision on Richmond Hill. I do not have anywhere near the seniority that some of my fellow residents have. I've only lived there for 5 years, but my wife and I have started a family there. We are looking forward to living here quite a long time. So echoing their sentiments, I do oppose this. My biggest concerns, along with everything that they've mentioned, would be, is there any expectation that 13 Mile would be expanded? As it is right now, the 2-lane roads are difficult to navigate. But also from the timing scope of the project, would this take 12 months, 18 months? Would this be a 9 to 5 project? Would there be work going on overnight? Would this be going on during winter months? If this were to progress forward, how long would it take? But again, my family has been living here for 5 years and we've loved every moment. We thank you for all your work. It's not easy being a councilman, making decisions for other people, and I appreciate all of your concerns towards this. Thank you.
Thank you. Adele Letterman, to be followed by Thomas Bader.
I live on Richmond Hill in Farmington Hills. My family and we live in Westgate subdivision. This is our home, where we have our home. This is our base of operation of daily life, 365 days a year. We want to protect our home. We want to protect our way of life. We want it to remain safe, pleasant, and easy to maneuver in and out of our neighborhood. 63 units on 12.46 acres is too much It's not right for the area. Please realize this is not right for our city and our neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you. It looks like Stephen, oh, sorry, you're up, sir. Thomas Bader, and it looks like Stephen left.
Yep.
Okay, and then to be followed by Dr. Stacy Noir.
Good evening. I appreciate you hearing me out. So I did send an email, and I didn't hear my name mentioned, and I even received a response. So I'd ask you to find that or locate that. My wife and I, we came here because of the environment. We looked all over, actually, and we were surprised at how beautiful Farmington Hills is with all the deer and all the woods, and that's why we're here. And that's the only reason we're here, to tell you the truth of the matter. And this development will pretty much destroy that in our neighborhood. The deer population, no one's really talking for them, but, you know, I've heard a little bit about them, but they live here. They were here before we got here. And I think this development will really damage their environment. I think they're already struggling in this environment. This area is definitely zoned RA1, single residence, and there's a reason for that, as others have already mentioned. The development was already too high for Holly Hills, and it's way too close to Holly Hills. I'm really sorry for them more than Westgate, to tell you the truth, because it's really going to infringe upon them. I mentioned a year ago that it was really obvious to me that they were allowing these properties to go to blight. And even one of the council members, I think it was a former member, said that they were like walking through there and it was dangerous, or if they walked through there, I remember exactly what they said, but they talked about the blight. And I mentioned that at that meeting that, you know, they're just manipulating this. They're doing it on purpose. They're letting these properties go to blight so they can force a decision. And it's so apparent, everyone sees it. And I don't think they should be rewarded for that. And I don't think Farmington Hills should be manipulated like that. In addition, you know, this idea that there was a property trying to go for $750,000, well, yeah, I'm surprised it didn't sell. I mean, it's really obvious what they're doing. I also heard before that they weren't allowing these properties to be sold as a single unit. So, you know, you have to buy 3 of them. So, of course, no one's buying them. Again, it's manipulation of trying to get what they want, which is just this development, so that they can make some more money. And so the density has already been talked about. The density is way too high, and it's already going against zoning, so you have to change all the zoning to allow this. And the traffic, the thing, and I don't know if anyone has talked about it, but if you're trying to drive along 13 Mile Road, people will pass you left and right on the left-hand lane, and they're doing it all the time now. And the traffic's getting worse and worse. I can't imagine how bad it's going to be if this development goes in. They're already not acting proper on that roadway.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Stacy Nahr, to be followed by Angie Smith, and that is the last card I have for the PUD. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm speaking today for 2 roles that I play in my life. One, as a mom to 2 biological children and a bonus daughter, and also as a psychologist. I specialize in childhood trauma. I lived in Farmington, Farmington proper, not Farmington Hills, from 1993 to 2000, when my dad was relocated for work purposes out of state. And so then I lived in different cities. And one thing that's really important to me is that my kids are okay, mentally, socially, academically, physically. I lived in Westland. My ex and I got a divorce, and so then we ended up selling the home and moving to West Bloomfield. We lived in West Bloomfield. COVID happened. COVID happened 11 days before my daughter's birthday. She didn't even get a birthday parade. So then we're trying to establish a sense of safety and well-being in the kids during all this turmoil. And then, for various factors, we were looking to move again, mainly so the 2 girls don't have to share a bedroom anymore. The kids didn't want to move, though. We had settled there for 5 years. We started looking. It took us 7 months to find a home. I was trying to stay in the West Bloomfield or Walled Lake School District so that the kids wouldn't have to change schools. I was open to Farmington Hills, a little hesitant. We found our home. We live on Woodbrook Court, and we instantly fell in love. My partner says that as soon as we pulled up to the house for the first viewing, he knew that this was going to be our house. The kids were excited about it. They didn't want to move, but they were excited. My daughter was excited. She does YouTube content where she does fairy stuff and in the woods. We have a wooded area behind the house. She was so excited. My stepdaughter is introverted. She liked the fact that we didn't really have too many neighbors around. And then my son is very active. He's on a travel soccer team. So something I did over this past weekend is with my partner's help, I tilled part of the yard and I put in sod so he could have a soccer field. And now I'm so concerned with the development going to be right behind our house. To the west of our house, we don't have neighbors. It's the manor, Baptist Manor. And then to the north of our house is where the development would be. And so we have trees all around our home. I'm worried about what that's going to look like for the kids. My son's worried about, what if I kick the soccer ball and it goes over the net and it goes like, how is he going to get it? Is he going to have to go all the way around to get it? Is he going to have to jump a fence? My daughter is worried about, even when we're looking at other houses. Ooh.
Thank you. Ms. Smith, and to be followed by, that's it. So let me make a last call. If anybody else wants to do public comment, please turn in a card. Good evening.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, Dr. Bruce and Councilmember Bridges, for those questions. We just heard about transparency. These are our neighbors. They're your neighbors. They're mine. When this company leaves, we still have to talk to these people. We may see them at the local market, the grocery store, or wherever. We heard about transparency. I don't believe in people pissing in my ear and telling me it's raining. And that's what I heard tonight. Nothing against the Schaefers, but one of the gentlemen stood here, the youngest one stood here and told us a couple of meetings ago, I went to Timbercrest and I went to this place and I've talked to these people. Well, I talk to people too. And I have friends that live in Timbercrest, and I asked them what was their thoughts about this. They had never heard and talked to anybody about this. They knew nothing about it. They may have now. May have had these conversations now. But when that comment was made, they had not spoken to anyone. So I'm going to give you a little history from me. I've been here 28 years this month. My second home that I purchased was on Oakwood Knolls, right off of Power. We had the same situation happen a few years ago. Mr. Bruce was on the city council, Ms. Knoll was on this city council, and Mr. Bridges. They came through and they looked at it, and they made the right choice. There was supposed to be more than 27 houses back there. Finally, and I had the first house right there on the corner. Make that quick left on Power Road. That very first house on Oakwood was mine. It caused a lot of havoc and disruption because people moved there that had never lived in that community. And it caused some havoc with the neighboring community members that had been there for a long time. Because if you go down there, those houses are old. And the construction caused a lot of backup and mess up. I'm saying that to say, if you pass this tonight with this 60-something homes, you think you got people in here now, you're going to have more in here after it passes. So I just ask for transparency. Be honest, be truthful. Tell the people exactly what you have been doing. Keep it black and white. You don't have to tell people, well, I bought Lions tickets, I made meals. These people can cook and they can go see the Lions and anybody else if they want to. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so that ends public comment. Mr. Dwyer.
Thank you, Mayor. I've also been a resident here in Farmington Hills for 40 years here. So I understand, and I understand where the residents are coming from. Just a little procedural history. You know, we've been working on this for 16 months, starting on April 18th of last year, when I went to the Planning Commission 3 times. It was finally recommended to send to City Council. There's been 6 separate hearings before the City Council on the issue. And this council has listened to the residents, listened to the developer. I think that the residents and the developer has gotten together many, many times. And at each hearing that we've had, we've addressed the concerns that the citizens have. And we've also had the developers go back to the drawing board and make the changes. So I think, in my opinion, that this is a great development for the city. I think it's necessary. So I'm going to make a motion for approval to move that the application for PUD 2-2024, including Site Plan 56-8-2024, dated August 21st, 2024, and September 4th, 2024, respectively, as revised, submitted by Stephen Schaefer, are approved subject to the following conditions. 1, all outstanding issues identified in Griffiths-Webster's July 22nd, 2025 review shall be addressed to the reasonable satisfaction of the city planner. 2, all outstanding issues identified in the city engineer's July 29th, 2025 interoffice correspondence shall be addressed to the reasonable satisfaction of the city engineer. And 3, all outstanding issues identified in the fire marshal's July 25th, 2025 interoffice correspondence shall be addressed to the reasonable satisfaction of the fire marshal. And further resolve that the city attorney prepare the appropriate PUD agreement stipulating the final PUD approval conditions and authorizing the identified zoning deviations for city council's consideration and final approval. This motion adopts and includes the findings and conclusions in the July 22nd, 2025 review report issued by the city planning consultant, Griffiths Webster, as to how the standards and the qualifications for PUD approval has been satisfied. That's my motion, Mayor.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there support? Support. We have a motion and support. Discussion, please. Okay, Mr. Eldred.
Okay, so I'd like to summarize how I'm seeing this. In the previous meeting, we had, I think summarized, there were 3 issues around this development: the traffic, stormwater management, and density. And I'm going to say the traffic, I think, is catered for reasonably well with the additional join through to the Baptist Manor. I think the stormwater management is, again, I'll accept the word of our engineering department that will be improved through this development. But that brings us on to density, which has continued to be an issue throughout. And I actually, we had discussions back and forth. There's had the proposal of, let's make it single story along the back, and I understand the developer has worked hard to make that happen, bringing a new developer to do that. And that's a benefit. I think there's an additional change you didn't include in this change, because an additional change on this plan is not only you've gone down to single story, you've added additional buildings, units in building 8 and building 5, because the overall has come down from 65 to 63, not 65 to 61, correct? So there is and that has reduced the size of the pocket park in the middle as well, right? Okay, so that was an additional change. So that was a good change, welcome that reduction in height, but it came with an offset of reduced setback now, down to about minimum, I think, of 66 feet if you include the patio. So now it was like better, but it also had some negatives. And I'm coming to, where I was at with this proposal was that we are either at the optimum position, right? We've suggested things, the developer's done some things, and They're probably not completely happy because of the additional cost. We're not completely happy because of the density or other reasons. And it's like, this is either a great compromise where we've reached this optimal position where no one's completely happy, or this doesn't quite work. That's where I was at. And then it was brought to my attention that on page 62 of the master plan, there is actually a more prescriptive definition of what flex residential is. And I think the comments that this has been zoned as part of the master plan as flex residential is a perfectly valid comment. It has, right? So therefore, these properties are up for, okay, what could we do here that's going to be beneficial? But the wording on page 62, as in the section on residential density, says in the flex residential and flex residential office areas, permitted densities should generally correspond with RA4 district. May be increased to RC1 densities where a third or more of the site is preserved and setbacks of 100 feet or more are preserved to adjacent neighborhoods. Okay, so it basically says third preserved or 100 feet setback. So again, I question planning on that. And I think our planning consultant referenced this, that it was felt that this was, well, this isn't a legally binding document. The master plan is a guidance, therefore, let's not include those numbers. But I look at those numbers and they're in the master plan. There's a definition for flex residential that specifies third more site for RC1 density, third of the site is preserved and a setback of 100 feet. So, and I hadn't seen that before. I had read it, but I did not recall that's what it said specifically. So objectively, from my perspective, this proposal does not meet what is laid out for flex residential. Whether we like that or not, it doesn't meet it objectively. Okay? But this is a PUD. I understand that, so it's up to us. Do we think there's sufficient benefit for this proposal as it stands, even if, as it's defined in the master plan, this doesn't quite meet the density requirement of flex residential, as it's specified, as I read it? I could be wrong, but that's how I read it. So it then comes back to subjective. Do we think subjectively this meets, is it a benefit? This is a PUD. Is it subjectively bringing a benefit to the city from the point of view of an improvement to public health, safety, welfare in the area affected? And when I look at that, okay, so what's the benefit? The benefit listed in the PUD in 1, in 3, and 7 is the setback. And the setback is at most now 83 feet, I believe. So it seems odd to argue that an 83 setback is a sufficient benefit to outweigh the fact you don't have a 100-foot setback, right? That doesn't really work. So then you have to look for what else is the benefit that we have. And what are we getting for it? Well, we have a nicely designed set of buildings. There's a lot of thought put into it. We have a pocket park. We have some artwork. We have some benefits. What's listed in the PUD is that it is an attractive for-sale community, and it's improved the state of these lots as they are. So that's all good. For me, it is not sufficient. There's not sufficient benefit to outweigh the fact that we don't even meet our own standard of what flex residential is. I think there is a counter-argument in favor of approval, and this has been brought up in previous meetings, and I think even touched on tonight, is that even as RA1, you could develop somewhere between 20 and 26 homes, something in that sort of area. And if you did that, then you could have as little as a 35-foot setback in this development. So the question is, if we left the zoning as it is, we didn't rezone, in effect, a PUD isn't rezoning, it's just allowing. If we left it as RA1, someone could, by rights according to zone, build 20 to 26 homes with a 35-foot setback. Would that be a better solution? And I say no. it wouldn't be a better solution than this. It would be worse. But I've come to the conclusion that just because I can imagine a worse outcome doesn't mean I should approve the one that's proposed. I don't think that's sufficient reason. Just because I can think of something worse doesn't mean that I should accept what's before us. So I'm going to vote no on this proposal this evening.
Thank you. Anyone else? Dr. Bruce?
First off, I have no issues with the developer on this. So my comments are to the property owner, not to the developers. They're just trying to do what any other developer would try to do in their position. I do have an issue with the current property owner who has allowed these properties to deteriorate over many years. They have also used these properties as a dumping ground for old boats, cars, construction materials, and garbage. Statements have been made that the owners have been unable to sell and market these properties, but that appears to be false on its face, and even more so with the testimony I've heard here tonight. First off, if you're trying to market properties, you don't use them as dumping grounds. You clean them up and make them presentable. Second, I've asked for months, as I've stated earlier, that I need some sort of proof or evidence that the present owners have attempted to sell these properties at a reasonable amount. Trying to package them up and sell them for $1 million for 3 properties at a time is not selling them at a reasonable amount as far as I'm concerned. So up to this point, I've been given absolutely no evidence that these properties have ever been put up for sale or marketed at any point as reasonable RA1 properties in terms of the cost, the value, whatever. I've been working with development issues in this city for almost 30 years, and I know when we are being played by a proponent or property owner, as I've seen it many times in the past. It is not our job to ensure that any property owner is guaranteed the maximum return on their property, whether through a zoning variance or through a development such as a PUD. However, in this case, I believe that the owners of this property are trying to cash in at the expense of the city and the residents that surround these properties and the proposed development. In my opinion, and from the evidence presented, I believe that these properties and the homes on them have been allowed to rot so that at some point they could be packaged and sold at a premium to a developer to maximize the return on the sale of these properties. I believe that this is a scam and that we are being played. I do not for a moment believe that these properties could not be sold and developed individually at the RA1 level, and I think they could be sold without difficulty. I've lived in this city for 40 years, and in my time as a resident and a past realtor, and being on the ZBA and council for almost 30 years, I've seen anything that is put up for sale eventually sold in this city. Even during difficult market periods. I've always joked that you could sell a cardboard box under a viaduct in this city, and I don't believe that is far from the truth. So the underlying premise that we must approve this PUD because these properties cannot be sold and developed as RA1 homes to be without any evidence or merit, and in fact, the evidence is in the opposite direction. The very basis of this project does not make sense or add up. The PUD approval is only a vehicle to send a lot of money to the property owners for years of bad behavior, which has done damage to the surrounding neighborhoods and to our city. Why in the world would we want to reward this behavior? The people that bought their homes, which surround these properties, in the subdivisions north, east, and south, did so in the belief that this area would remain RA1. That is a very reasonable assumption, and it is one that underlines the stability of our neighborhoods and the values of homes that people buy. If they cannot trust the zoning that has been in place for years, which is consistent with their properties, then it damages the trust that they have with the city and the process of how the city approaches development. In effect, it changes the rules in the middle of the game and pulls the rug out from under the residents. That is why we have received dozens and dozens of emails, letters, testimonies in person from the people that live around this area. They don't want this development as they correctly see that it is not consistent with the surrounding areas. I have always said that bad development is worse than no development, as you cannot change bad development. And over time, good development will come if we are patient. The RC equivalent development is too dense and will look completely out of place. It is basically a form of commercial development bleeding into residential. I've always fought to protect the residential character of our neighborhoods because if not, then again, you lose the trust of the people and you lower the property values of the homes in our neighborhoods. If we approve this development, it puts every other subdivision on notice that the zoning around them can be changed at any time on the whim of a property owner if they have the patience to let their property rot, to extract a development that will maximize a return on their investment at the cost of everyone else. Remember, these 7 homes only have 7 curb cuts, and the amount of traffic that would come in and out of these 7 single-family homes is absolutely minimal. However, the traffic that will flow in and out of this dense development will be constant and disruptive to the surrounding areas and will add significantly to the already heavy traffic that traverses this route on a daily basis. Go eastbound in the mornings or westbound in the late afternoons, and you can see the lineup of traffic. I have to go through there almost every day. One of the things that we're supposed to consider in a PUD is a public benefit. I hear this all the time from my fellow council members, and rightly so. Because when they look at a PUD, they are as concerned as I am about the public benefit, which makes the PUD worthwhile. Someone please point out the public benefit that counters all the negatives I have already outlined. I don't see it, and I don't see it going forward. While the new master plan does propose that this area is a flex residential, this has not really been completely defined or fleshed out, nor does it require that we put in a development at this density level. I'm asking my fellow council members to seriously consider everything that has led up to where we are with this proposed development. I have nothing against the design of this development. I think there are so many other places or areas in the city that this would look great, but this is not the area. I love the Mercedes-Benz financial headquarters building on Drake and 12 Mile, but it wouldn't look good in this neighborhood. This is bad development. This is a misuse of the PUD process. As far as I'm concerned, this is almost like spot zoning, in my opinion, and not appropriate. I'm voting against this motion because I just think this area should stay the way it is, RA1. I think these properties can be developed. Again, no evidence that it can't be, and that's why I'm not going to vote for this motion.
Thank you. Anyone else? Ms. Knoll?
Sure. So first of all, thanks to the residents and the developer for being here once again. I know it's probably frustrating to have to come to so many meetings. We're here a lot, but I'm sure there's better things you can be doing with your time. But this is the public process. This is democracy. This is transparency. So this is the way things work in the city, and I'm glad you're all here. Hopefully we can, we've been civil for the most part about this, and hopefully we can all still remain civil, whatever happens tonight. Because that's the way we like to be here in Farmington Hills, is civil to each other and all good neighbors. First of all, I want to say to Schaefer, I actually think you're all very nice people, and I think you have some great properties out there. I've seen many of your developments, and I do think you are trustworthy and you do a good job. So this is nothing personal, nothing against you. First of all, I want to thank you, actually, for on the south side, turning those 8 buildings into 1 story. I think that has been a huge benefit. It is, for the residents of Holly Hill that back up to that, it is much better to look out at a 1-story building as opposed to a 2-story building. So thank you for that. Also, thank you for increasing the side setback as well there. So I want to thank you for that. But I do still have some concerns here. So with RA1, I think at this point it's probably unlikely that this property is going to get redeveloped with just simply 7 homes. Whether it's taking what existing homes are left and fixing them back up or knocking them down and building new ones, I just don't think financially that will happen. I know there's a difference of opinion on that, but I don't think that will happen. Another option with RA1 is it could be redeveloped with RA1 smaller homes. As has been said, it could be anywhere from maybe 22 to 26 homes, maybe 26 homes, somewhere in there. Obviously, you have to put the infrastructure in, the roads in, so it's hard to know exactly how many homes. But based on the lot calculation, it's going to be somewhere in there. If you do the square footage, that's why I was asking about the square footage. If you just, for example, let's take 26 homes, kind of the max of maybe what you could put in there with a RA1 development. Let's just say they're 2,000 square feet, making up a number here. That's roughly, probably on the small side maybe, but you're looking at 62,000 square feet, as opposed to what was calculated earlier, as opposed to 98,500. So that's the difference you're looking at, is if this were developed as an RA1 as opposed to as this PUD. I also did a comparison to Holly Hill. And this may not be exact, but I took the acreage of this property and tried to overlay it onto Holly Hill directly behind. There's approximately 17, 18 homes in Holly Hill that correspond to this acreage. I don't know the square footage, but to make things consistent for Holly Hill, I just used 2,000 square feet. So again, if you're looking at the 2,000 square foot times about 17 homes, you're looking at 30,000 square foot. So again, a big difference between 98,500, approximately 34,000 for Holly Hill, and if this were developed as an RA1, potentially it'd be above Holly Hill at potentially 62,000, but still well below the 98,000. So, you know, we talked a lot about flex zoning, and yes, flex can be allowed. I think we acknowledge, most of us acknowledge that up here, that it is an option, but again, it's in exchange for the setback in the open space. And the open space is where I'm having my issue, and it has to do, again, because of the density of this project. I still don't feel that there's enough open space in this development to really be compatible with Westgate and Holly Hill Farms. So for that reason, I'm not supporting it tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else want to speak? Mr. Bridges.
I'll just be brief. Councilmember Bruce's comments were quite representative of the comments I would have made, but he made them in a very elegant manner, so we want to compliment you on your comments there. Councilman Bruce and I have served on the Zoning Board of Appeals together back before we joined the City Council, and we learned a lot about the residential character of this community. And I just don't think the relief that the proponent is asking for is enough, is substantial compared to the community benefit to the city. And I'm also concerned about the qualitative impact upon this area if this development goes through. So again, the Schaefer's been very, very diligent, and also they work with the homeowners association. They've come back to council on several occasions. I want to thank the members of the community who has been here for several meetings going through this process. We appreciate your steadfast just public involvement on this issue. It's very important to you. And so we appreciate you continue to show your presence at on this topic. But for the reasons that Councilmember Bruce outlined, I just can't see the benefit to the community for offering this type of huge change from RA1 to RC1. The benefits doesn't line up for me to support this. So I would be voting against this proposal. Thank you.
Ms. Bowler? Yes.
I came here this evening with the understanding that I would be approving this PUD based upon the fact that we have a housing crisis in this country, and that it's a housing crisis at every level, at every income level. And I thought that this was a way to address it. But after listening to my fellow council members, who some of them have a greater depth of knowledge in this area than I do, I appreciate the comments that they made, and they were valid. I do have some concerns, as most of the council members that have already spoken, about the density of this project. And I know that in the future, it will not be developed as 7 parcels. It will be extremely expensive to do so. So based upon what I've heard from the residents, because I've read every letter that's come in, an email from you. I heard you tonight. I heard you in your previous comment. I am going to join my fellow council members and vote no on this project.
Call the question.
So, well, I get to speak. Thank you. So, as Councilmember Bolaware said, we do have a housing issue in this country. We have a housing issue in Farmington Hills. I like this project. And it is quite clear that this motion is going to fail. What I like about the project, I very much appreciate the Schaefers listening to the feedback we've given. And I very much appreciate the partnership with Pulte to create something that didn't exist before. Hopefully one day will, because that's the kind of housing that's needed. We need somewhere where, most of us are 55 and up here. We need places where we can trade in our 2,400 square foot colonials and go live in a ranch or a ranch duplex. That's a missing piece in our community. It would be great to have, and I've talked about this at council before, at this dais. It would be great to have a development where a younger family could live in the townhome and grandparents could hypothetically live in the ranches alongside. I think that would be super. But it's quite clear that this motion is going to fail. And I hear my colleagues. I'm not necessarily in agreement. I think that the PUD did show sufficient benefit. But I understand that tonight this is not going through. So now we'll call the question. This is a roll call vote.
Council members Bruce,
No.
Dwyer,
Yes.
Knoll,
No.
Aldred,
No.
Bolaware,
No.
Bridges,
No.
Mayor Rich.
No.
Thank you.
Mayor Rich?
6-1 vote.
Yes.
Abby, you're recognized? Yes, okay, well, you're at a point where the motion put on the table to approve has failed. And there's been a lot of comments made by those who voted in the negative on that as to the reasons why they were voting to the negative, but there is no motion that has been made yet to deny it, where the motion includes the reasons for the denial at this point. So my legal advice would be to now deliberate over and decide a motion to deny. Again, as indicated previously, that it should take into consideration the standards in section 34-3.20.2 of the zoning ordinance to go through those standards. If I can be of any assistance, I'd be happy to do so, but we're at that procedural step.
All right, we're looking for that motion
Can I
to
call
deny
for a
right now.
recess so that we could deliberate on the language?
I think
for the.
that seems reasonable. We're going to take a brief.
Randy has it right here.
I've got.
Okay, has it?
Okay, as you wish.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to resolve that the application for PUD 2, 2024, including site plan 56-8-2024, dated August 21st, 2024, and September 4th, 2024, respectively, as revised, submitted by Stephen Schaefer, are denied because it does not meet all the provisions set forth in section 34-3.20 of the zoning ordinance, and the proposed development will adversely affect the public health, welfare, and safety for the following reasons. And I would like to submit to the record my comments that I made earlier, if that would be sufficient in terms of the several comments that I made in my comments after the first motion was made. Is that good that I just enter it that way, or do I have to reread or spell them out?
I think if council is satisfied that they're sufficiently aware of those comments. Those comments are reflected in the record and in the recorded meeting, and you have them in writing. If you submit those with the record, I think that would be sufficient if it satisfies council.
I will provide you the record that I wrote. or
Can we
read.
make a motion for those comments, or we just go ahead and it's okay to do that, based on your judgment?
Yes,
Yeah, he said it would be okay.
So that is my motion.
So we have a motion. Is there support?
Support.
We have motion and support. Discussion.
No discussion.
Okay, I do have a point then, that I do not believe this is a detriment. This project is a detriment, and so for that reason, I'm not going to be able to vote for denial.
Okay.
That is my comment.
Discussion, if I make, so I understand, I believe what you're referring to, Madam Mayor, is the line here that says that the proposed development would adversely affect the public health, welfare, and safety for the following reasons. Is that
Correct.
Is that correct?
Right, and I do not believe that this project
So-
negatively affects public health, safety, and welfare.
So I have a question for the attorney, our attorney. Is it necessary to say adversely affect? We are, that implies something negative, whereas I believe the consensus of opinion was wasn't sufficient benefit.
Well, I believe that is some language from the ordinance itself, that it provides sufficient benefit in the judgment of council. I think one aspect of the motion that's on the table so far, something it doesn't include, are some of the comments made by Councilmember Aldred regarding similar issues. I think aspects of that were covered relative to no benefit from the setback because of it's not the 100-foot flex and doesn't even comply with the master plan. If you want to make a motion to amend the current motion to include comments like that, you could elaborate on those, and then the maker of the motion could consider whether to add those as reasons.
I'm happy to add that as an amendment to summarize that. I'm hearing the mayor's comment, and I'm trying to get a clarification on whether it requires the proposed development will adversely affect the public health.
City attorney.
Can I add?
Certainly.
So I would add to my motion that in some way, the ways that it will adversely affect the public health, welfare, and safety for the following reasons. Number one is the increased traffic to this area. I think that it would be a much higher level of traffic coming in and out of that development, and the traffic there is already, the road is already almost overloaded at many times during the day, and I think the density of this development and that amount of traffic would adversely affect this. I think that it would adversely affect it in terms of runoff from the development. I think that it adversely affects it from the fact that we could damage property values from around this area because of the fact that we're changing zoning next to RA1 areas, and it would make the properties less desirable in those areas. And those are at least, again, some of the points that I made in my previous points that I just wanted to highlight in terms of how I think it will adversely affect the area.
You support it, correct?
I support it, yes.
Is that an amendment to the
Yes.
motion?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to accept those comments as second as well.
Discussion.
Okay, discussion?
Yes.
Ms. Bullower?
Yes. I don't believe the development will adversely affect the surrounding neighborhood. I did contact our city assessor to ask in the past for those developments that have gone through the PUD process, and the determination was they had not. And those were, so I am opposed to including that statement in the denial. Yes.
Mr. Aldred?
Yeah. As I'm rereading as I reread the resolution, I see that it's saying two things. It's saying that it does not meet all the provisions of Section 34, which is the PUD, and will adversely affect for the following reasons. In other words, they're listing it below the combination of the two things. So I'm happy to support Dr. Bruce's motion, and I would also add an amendment that says that referring to the benefit, that there is not, the benefit of the setback is not a sufficient benefit. The setback that's provided is not a sufficient benefit to meet the provisions of Section 34.320.
I would accept that.
Okay, so we have an amended motion. Is there support for the amended motion?
Second.
Okay, so that being the case, I am still going to vote no on this motion because the rationale was negated by our traffic engineer regarding traffic. The rationale about water runoff was negated by our city engineering department. And the rationale about reduction in property value is at best speculation and is not supported, as Ms. Bolaware said in conversation with our assessor, that rationale tends to not hold water. So for that reason, I will still be voting no on this resolution. It clearly is going to pass, but that's explaining my vote. And folks, I know we've had 100 people come to these things. I'm not voting against you, but I'm voting for everybody else in the community who will need that kind of housing. Okay, do we need to call the question? This is a roll call vote.
Well, Madam Mayor, can we just clarify a couple things here? So, Councilmember Bruce, you, on the table right now is the denial. We're still including the adverse effect to public health, welfare, and safety. We're including due to increased traffic and possible damage to property values, making it less desirable.
Correct.
And are we including all of your other notes that you're going to provide? Okay, perfect.
Yep.
And then Councilmember Aldred, we're also including your comments on the setbacks?
Yes.
Okay.
There is not sufficient benefit from the setback to
Okay, and then-
outweigh the flex residential definition.
Perfect. And then we have a second on that from Councilmember Bridges? Yes. With all those changes?
Yes.
Okay. I think we're clear.
Now we're calling the question. It's a roll call
Yes.
vote.
Councilmember Dwyer?
No.
Noel?
Yes.
Aldred?
Yes.
Bolaware?
No.
Bridges?
Yes.
Bruce?
Yes.
And Mayor Rich?
No. Okay, it's 10 o'clock. Why don't we take a little recess? Is that the other Mayor Pro Tem? Yeah. All righty. Oh, good. Cards. All right, welcome back. Item 5, consideration of approval of enactment of Ordinance C-5-2025 to amend the Farmington Hills Code of Ordinances, Chapter 34 zoning, Article 2 definitions, Section 34-2.2 definitions, to add definitions related to artisan manufacturing and live-work units, Article 3.0 zoning districts, Section 34-3.1 through 22, OS4 office research district, to revise permitted and special approval uses and certain height, area, and bulk standards, Article 3.0 zoning districts, Section 34-3.5.2, note, so on. Do I have to read all of this, Steve? Council? I do? Okay. Continuing. To revise the applicable chart of notes to delete Note P and re-letter Article 3.0 zoning districts, Section 34-3.9, OS-1, OS-2, OS-3, and OS-4 district required conditions to amend the conditions applicable to the district. Article 4.0 use standards to add new Section 34-6.61 parking structures, and Article 5 site standards, Section 34-5.2 off-street parking requirements, to revise and/or rearrange various parking standards and requirements, and summary for publication. CMR 8-25-107. Good evening.
Good evening. Charmaine Kettler-Schmaltz, Director of Planning and Community Development, to give you a brief presentation on this item. This is your second reading for the zoning text amendments, and we wanted to provide information to you regarding the modifications that occurred since the first reading. So the update is to include additional uses that were requested by the council, vocational and tutoring centers, and indoor recreation with a maximum of 3,300 square feet in area. We have also moved forward with removal of the bonus height section of the code that referenced the 15% open space set aside for public space in exchange for an additional 20 feet of height on the proposed buildings within the OS4 district. We will revisit that topic at a future text amendment with some additional information and options for how that might be addressed.
Was private school in there too?
A private school was part of the vocational
Very
and
good.
tutoring
Okay. Thank you, thank you.
centers. So with those modifications, this is the second reading. If approved this evening, would go into effect 21 days in the future.
Okay, council, what's your pleasure?
Make a motion?
Please.
Assume that means reading it again?
It's even more important now.
Okay, so I move to approve the enactment of Ordinance C-5-2025 to amend the Farmington Hills Code of Ordinances, Chapter 34, zoning, Article 2.0, definitions, Section 34-2.2, definitions to add definitions relating to artisan manufacturing and live work units, Article 3.0, zoning districts, Section 34-3-3.1-22, OS4 Office Research District, to revise permitted and special approval uses and certain height, area, and bulk standards. Article 3.0 zoning districts, Section 34-3.5.2 notes to schedule of regulations, to revise the applicable chart of notes to delete Note P and re-letter. Article 3.0 zoning districts, Section 34-3.9, OS-1, OS-2, OS-3, and OS-4 district required conditions, to amend the conditions applicable to the district. Article 4.0 use standards, to add new Section 34-6.61 parking structures, and Article 5.0 new site standards, Section 34-5.2 off-street parking requirements, to revise and/or rearrange various parking standards and requirements, and summary for publication.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Any discussion? This is a roll call vote.
Council members Aldred,
Yes.
Bolaware,
Yes.
Bridges,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Dwyer,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Mayor Rich.
Yes.
Thank you.
This then takes us to new business. Consideration of an appeal of a Freedom of Information Act request dated May 15th, 2025. Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. How are you? All of you?
How are you?
I am here today to speak to you about a pending FOIA appeal by Mr. Charles Blackwell. This appeal might seem similar. I was here a few months ago to talk about a very similar request involving the costs to respond to a FOIA. This appeal is different in that it talks about a different basis for the city to consider with regards to the costs, but I will tell you that the result should still be the same based upon the statute and the case law and the precedent. It's not so much the cost here about searching through the information that's being sought. That cost, Mr. Blackwell seems to focus on the cost itself when compared to, let's say, the budget of the city or the operation cost that the city has. That's not what the statute looks at according to the case law. What the statute focuses on, what is the cost when it comes to putting the material together, taking other individuals away, and also the big picture. What's the big picture with regards to cutting these costs or not taking what a city is entitled to under the statute? Mr. Blackwell feels the cost in itself is not unreasonable, is an unreasonable cost to the city. I would just say that's his opinion, but it's not consistent with the established precedent that interprets the law. So therefore, I would ask the council to affirm the FOIA, the estimate of cost that was provided for the text messages during the time period in the appeal, which I believe is April 1st till May 15th. For that $51 cost, I would have the council advise or request that you affirm that ruling and proceed with that. Anybody have any questions?
I do.
Yes.
I have two.
Sure.
The phone that's mentioned, is this a city phone or personal phone?
It talks about text messages.
Just,
not-
yes.
So it could take a search of both city, if there is a city phone or if there's a personal phone. When it comes to FOIA, it's not so much where the information is stored or how it's disseminated, it's the content of the information itself.
So if there are two phones involved, then they have to go through each of those?
Yes, that's where the
Regardless.
cost, yes.
So that's where the cost is?
That's where the cost can increase, really. You have to look at both.
Yeah. And the rationale on the $54 being unreasonable? I think you mentioned that $54 is a reasonable cost. Can you elaborate on that a little?
Well, the excuse me, I believe it's $51.
$51, yeah.
The way the cost is a reasonable cost for the city, that's the time that is allowed under the statute. The statute allows you to charge for time, for official to charge for time that exceeds 30 minutes.
Okay.
Which this task would do. Also, it is, the hourly rate is determined by the individual who would look at the information. And because this asks about information between the city manager and the assistant city manager, only certain people can look at that because it's sensitive information that would guaranteed be in that. So therefore, we have to ask the assistant city manager to look through the items. Well, that's one of the higher salaries in the city. So that rate is going to apply. You can't ask that for someone else to look at that because there's sensitive employee information, could be attorney-client privilege information that the assistant city manager could review and flag and maybe have a discussion with myself or Steve about those issues. But because of the sensitive information, you have to have one of your highest officials looking at it.
Anyone else? Okay, so is Mr. Blackwell present today and wanting to address council? I've not met him, so I don't know if he's here. Okay, it would appear
I do not see him, and I have not heard from him as well today.
Okay, thank you. All right, so is there a motion, and do you have any guidance for us on specifically what the motion needs to read? I think we have. I think. Do you want to take a stab at it?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. I move to uphold the city's deposit request fee for cost reimbursement set forth in its itemized fee schedule and denial of fee waiver request relating to Mr. Blackwell's May 15, 2025 FOIA request for the following reasons. One, the fee amount and deposit requests comply with the city's publicly available procedures and guidelines in Section 4 of the Freedom of Information Act. FOIA Section 4(1)A permits the city to seek the costs associated with preparing and responding to a FOIA request. 3, FOIA Section 4(3) permits the city to seek reimbursement for FOIA responses that would pose unreasonably high costs to the city. 4, FOIA Section 4(2)A does not apply as the requester has not provided the necessary documentation required for a cost reduction of $20. 5, the fee waiver request under FOIA Section 4(2) is permissive. No basis has been provided supporting approval of a waiver in this instance, and the decision on a fee waiver request is not listed under FOIA Section 10(a) as being subject to appeal or challenge. And number 6, FOIA Section 1(a), D, and G allows the city to redact information that would infringe upon an individual's privacy rights or disclose privileged material. Finally, disclosure of the exempt material would not provide any beneficial information to the public should it be disclosed.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there support?
Support.
We have motion and support. Any discussion? Okay, this is a regular vote. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 7, consideration of approval of authorization of a purchase agreement with Detroit Edison Electric Company to update and install street lighting at the 12 Mile Road and Orchard Lake Road intersection, CMR 8-25-108. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone, Mayor, council members. My name is Mark Zaksuski, Senior Engineer for the city. Thank you for the opportunity tonight to speak with respect to the proposed street lighting at the intersection of 12 Mile and Orchard Lake Road. The proposed lighting improvements are intended to significantly increase nighttime visibility, creating a safer and more secure environment for both pedestrians and motorists who travel through this busy intersection. The scope of the work includes replacing one existing overhead Cobra-style streetlight with a modernized 206-watt LED fixture, as well as installing one additional new streetlight of the same style. In addition, the plan adds 7 new underground-fed 206-watt LED fixtures mounted on black posts along with banner arms along the east side of Orchard Lake Road. So these enhancements are intended to improve lighting at the intersection, as well as elevate the visual character of the area. Installation is scheduled to be completed by late fall of '25, and we're hoping to coordinate this with the current Road Commission for Oakland County project that's happening in that same location. So DTE has quoted an installation cost of $60,387. However, consistent with standard street lighting agreements, they're offering a 3-year revenue credit of $12,641 towards the installation. This credit brings the city's net installation cost down to $47,746. With respect to maintenance and annual operating cost, based on current DTE rates, we're looking at approximately $4,213 annually. Are there any questions or concerns I could try to address?
Mr. Aldred.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've seen recently there are some new utility poles going in at 12 Mile and Orchard Lake, and again, I think this is great that we improve lighting, hopefully clean that up and improve safety. So I think that's good. But in general, in that junction, it's an incredibly large number of overhead wires.
There are.
There's a lot of visual clutter.
Yes,
there
are.
I'm probably overly hopeful, but will anything here help improve that visual clutter that there is at that junction?
You may see some improvements on 12 Mile and along the east side of Orchard Lake, but unfortunately that west side with the several lines of heavy wire, that's the reason we have decorative posts on the east side only.
Okay.
Because it hit those posts and those wires, and we couldn't accommodate both without extensive costs and a relocation.
And the solution for the west side is what?
So we're using, the first 2 lights I discussed are mast arm lights. So they attach to an existing wooden pole.
Yeah.
So on the west leg of 12 Mile, we're putting a brand new mast arm on the wooden pole with the new fixture. And then we're replacing one at the ramp on southbound Orchard Lake to the westbound I-696 ramp. So we're going to change out an old, less effective light, the brand-new one.
Okay, but the visual clutter, that's something else.
Well, I think it'll be improved, but you're still going to have those heavy wires and poles on the west side.
I'll come back to that one then. All right,
And,
thank you.
They are rebuilding that entire signal. I know Valerie will be happy that we're getting a dual left turn lane there, westbound to southbound. So there's a lot of improvements, the all new signal, all new pedestrian infrastructure.
Thank you.
Countdown signals with audible countdowns for.
Excellent.
Audible? Good.
Okay. Mayor?
Okay, yeah. Mr. Dwyer had,
Right, go ahead.
No, I just want to make the motion for the
Let me ask
approval.
a question first.
okay.
I see that, now this is unrelated to the lighting issue, but I see that that medium has been removed, right? Is that correct? That medium is still there, or is it gone? That ugly medium there at 12 Mile?
On the north side of 12 Mile,
Yeah, no, it's on the south side of 12
on the
Mile.
south side.
Yeah, is it removed, or is it still there?
You mean on Orchard Lake?
I think,
Orchard Lake.
I think it's probably temporarily removed.
Still there. No, it's there. It's still there.
If it's gone, I haven't been
I
through
thought
there
it was
in
gone.
the
I
last few
was
days.
jumping for joy, it was gone.
I thought it was there the other day.
Was it really?
Unless they removed it in the
Okay,
past
I'm
couple
sorry, okay,
days.
I'm
I was there yesterday.
All right,
Okay,
all right.
yeah.
They did just change to a new phase, so something could have changed out there in the last
They
few
did
days.
change the configuration.
Yeah.
Look different.
Going northbound, that they did, but.
All right, I'll yield to Councilmember Dwyer for his
Oh,
motion.
real quick,
All right.
I just want to say, I think it is important that we improve the lighting there, because
Yeah.
I've seen people come out of the gas station on the southeast corner, and they want to make a left-hand, they try to make a left-hand turn, and they drive right over that median.
They do,
They're the ugly median you're talking about, they drive right over it. So, at night,
And these are some quite.
when
these are-
there's no traffic, if there's traffic, you can't do that, but at night with no traffic and it's dark, so.
The same with that approach at Orchard Lake on the west side, north of 12 Mile. I've seen that happen there also.
Yeah.
So we did do have a light far to the north, and we put one on the east leg, a decorative light to the east in front of past the gas station, just barely or right at the east end of it. And then all the way down to the highway to try to spread that light out a little bit.
Okay, Mr. Dwyer.
Okay, I'll make the motion to approve that the City of Farmington Hills enter into a purchase agreement with DTE Electric Company for work order 752-00945 to furnish, install, operate, maintain street lighting at the 12 Mile and Orchard Lake Road intersection.
We have a motion, is there support?
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any further discussion? This is a regular vote. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Carries. Item 8, thank you. Consideration of approval for request for the 13-mile road sanitary sewer payback extension, CMR 8-25-109. Good evening.
Good evening. Mayor Rich and City Council, my name's Tammy Gushard, one of the senior engineers with the Department of Public Services. On December 2nd, 2019, City Council adopted a resolution for the 13-mile road sanitary sewer payback district. And as a part of that resolution, City Council established the time frame which the property owners within that district have the option to pay their payback cost over an extended period of 10 years if they enter into a payback agreement with the city within 5 years from the date the resolution was adopted, or that date being December 2nd, 2024. Public Services was recently contacted by one of the property owners within that 13-mile payback district indicating that their septic system was failing and requesting that the city allow them to enter into that payback agreement. Since the approved time period to opt into that payment plan had expired, the property owner was notified and informed that the only payment option currently available is for the payback to be paid in full at the time of connection. The property owner again expressed concerns with being able to make that full payment and provided staff with some information regarding several personal and financial hardships that they've been continuously experiencing over the past several years. They have indicated that these hardships are impacting their ability to pay the entire payback amount at one time, and again requested that the city reconsider allowing the payment plan option. Following discussion with the city attorney, City Code Section 33-203 states that City Council may establish the time period for which a property owner may opt into a payment installment plan agreement and must identify that time period in the resolution it adopts. So for this particular project, council established the 5 years in the resolution in December of 2019, and within council's discretion, you have the option to modify this previously approved time period. Based on multiple conversations with that property owner regarding their current situation, recognizing the potential for other property owners within that district to also potentially connect into the public sanitary sewer system and take advantage of this extension to the payment plan option, staff is recommending that the previously approved resolution for this 13-mile payback sanitary sewer district be amended to extend the payment option time from the previously approved period of 5 years to 7 years. So this revised date would allow benefiting properties up to December 2nd of 2026 to opt into a payment plan with the city. Should City Council approve this amendment to the resolution, notifications of this revision would be mailed out to all the benefiting property owners within that 13-mile payback district. So at this time, I'm happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Council? Motion, please.
Sure, I will make a motion here to approve an amendment to amended resolution R-199-19 to change the 5-year period to a period of 7 years for a property to exercise the option of entering into an agreement to pay its proportionate share of the improvement costs with installment payments over a period of years, and to further resolve that amended resolution R-199-19, except as specifically amended hereby, shall remain in full force and effect as written.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there support?
Support.
We have a motion and support. Just further discussion? Okay, this is a regular vote. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Carries. Thank you. Next item, consideration of approval of the interlocal agreement with Oakland County for Heritage Park, CMR 8-25-110. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm Ellen Schnackel. I'm the Director of Special Services. As you're aware, Oakland County Parks passed an increased parks millage in the fall of 2024. City staff have been in discussions with the county to create an interlocal agreement to operate Heritage Park. A summary of the initial terms are as follows. It's a 30-year renewable agreement, a $4 million payment to the city from the county after a 6-month planning and transition period, and that would be ending in March 31st of 2026. The development of a park action plan during this transition period in coordination with both county and city staff, and it includes community engagement, existing conditions analysis, strategic planning, capital improvements plan, park operations and maintenance plan, all of which will be submitted to you, City Council, by March 31st of 2026 for your approval, your comments, and any further recommendations. A partnership of this magnitude would benefit our community by improved capital investments in the park with both upfront and ongoing financial funding. It will also increase our service level to our residents and guests. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. Council. Okay, so for the public's benefit, we have had a couple of meetings already and have been looking at this for a period of months, so it's not that we're not engaged, but we have been through it. So is there a motion? Yes, Ms. Knoll.
Sure. I'll make a motion to authorize the city manager and city clerk to sign the interlocal agreement with the Oakland County for Heritage Park, and authorize the city manager and director of special services to finalize the terms of the agreement in consultation with the city attorney.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Any discussion? Okay, we're looking forward to getting back some of the money that our residents are paying in for this county millage that was approved last year. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Okay, carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Look forward to hearing more. Item 10, consideration of approval of appointment of voting delegate and alternate voting delegate for the Michigan Municipal League annual meeting to be held on September 17th, 2025. And I understand Ms. Bolaware will be in attendance at MML. So this is one for us. Is there a motion?
So we motion would be to nominate
Mm-hmm.
yourself and.
No, just Jackie.
Okay, I make a motion that Councilmember Boulware be the voting delegate at the upcoming MML conference held here.
Support.
Okay, we have motion and support. Ms. Bolaware, you accept?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, this is a regular vote. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. And item 11, consideration of approval of appointments to various boards and commissions. Anyone like to read? There are two tonight.
I'm looking for it.
Okay, here, I'll do it, yeah.
Thank you.
I'd like to recommend the following appointments at the August 11th City Council meeting. To the Farmington Hills Beautification Commission, appoint September Twanetta Ingram for a length of 3 years ending February 1st, 2019. And the second is to the Farmington Hills Innovation, Energy, and Environmental Sustainability Committee, Matt Strickfaden, who I understand is watching from home, for a 3-year period ending February 1st, 2029.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion. Is there support? We have motion and support. This is a regular vote. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. And thank you to these residents for their volunteerism to our city. This then takes us to public comment. And we have 3 people who have filled out cards, Ms. Davis, Mr. Steiber, and PG. So in that order, please. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and the City Council. My name is Shari Davis. I've been a resident of Farmington Hills for the past 5 years. I must say, this is my first time at a city-county meeting. I'm pleasantly surprised that we take care of business like this, and I'm happy about the vote that I didn't know about. Very, very good job. Not being condescending, but I was enlightened by that. My issue tonight is with the vendors that are in the area. We have Sci-Fi that's doing the fiber optics. My concern is we did the huge project last year with the water main, and we had a lot of folks that were in the neighborhood tearing up our, grass, and it took some time. My grass has just now fully been restored. And now we have the fiber optics, which has started. I am not a fan of it, but if it's what other residents want, that is fine. The biggest concern with it is I have random folks in my yard. I am an engineer, I work from home, and my office is front-facing the lawn. They're coming in, they're not identifying themselves, they're not specifying a timeline that said work is supposed to start. So as you can see, this is an issue, because it's quite noisy. And the fact that my grass, which I worked so hard to get restored, is now in disarray. So from the perspective of vendors doing business, I'd like to know who they are. And I'd also like for them to identify themselves. When I called the city manager's office, they said it's the responsibility of the company doing business. They should have notified. They did not. So I have also older senior citizens as well in the home. So it's a multitude of issues with this for me. I want to know who's on my property. I want to know what they're doing, right? And I want them to identify themselves so that I know that I'm safe and I'm aware of the work that's being done. So how can we bridge the gap to make sure that that happens? Because I know that most of the folks on my street were not identified. Well, they were not notified that this was happening. So I just want to make sure that we have that common ground, right? Work is being done, we know who's doing it, and the time period.
So thank you for coming to public comment. With public comment, that's the opportunity for the public to address us. We don't engage in a back and forth, but I will ask Ms. Mondora to step out with you so that she can get some information because Sci-Fi is supposed to let people know in advance. There's a whole process that's been laid out. So thank you for letting us know. And welcome to your first council meeting. Don't be a stranger.
It's such a prevalent comment, and you're not doing anything about it.
Good evening.
Hello. I have a second issue now. I'm in the same subdivision, and basically, our grass was torn up, 6 months of water issues, and now the cable or fiber optic people are there. The question is, or we were told last year, after all these people came in for the sewer or the waterworks, we would get new roads. In 1998 or something, we paid for our roads in our subdivision. We were told our roads were going to be upgraded, and I'm just curious when that's going to happen. Now, the real reason I'm here is for water. City Council had a month to think about the minimum water usage charge of 16 units per homeowner that I spoke about last meeting. There are other cities in Oakland County that do have a minimum usage, but there are quite a few that don't. It doesn't make it right. I was told by the mayor and city manager that Farmington Hills would review usage changes and possibly revise the rates at the next contract update in June of next year. I don't think we should wait. We should start now charging for actual usage. Farmington Hills knows the amount of money we need for water issues, and all you have to do is add a few categories to the bill, like you have the water meter bill, the charge there, add something for capital improvements or bond issues or whatever, and then revise the actual units you're charged for. We have computers in this building that could figure out that easily. You know, the total amount of money you get would be the same. There wouldn't be a problem with WRC because all they do is bill for us and collect the money. We decide what we, need the money for. And that's a question. Why are we not doing our own billing? Other cities are doing their own billing. Farmington Hills has someone else doing it. We could maybe save cost. Now, the bottom line is I know a senior on a fixed income, and her last 14 bills had a total usage of 78 units. She was charged for 244 units of water and sewage. This is a 71-year-old, and she was charged for 146 units that she did not use. I think things should be changed now. Seniors on fixed incomes should not be penalized. And remember, if Farmington Hills doesn't do something now instead of waiting until next June, I can put stuff on the website, the neighborhood website, and I can let the Farmington Hills Commission on Aging know the issues.
Thank you.
Anyhow, thank you.
All righty. PG.
Good evening to council. I just want to say before this gentleman leaves the room, you can go to WRC and get these little strips and put them in your toilet in different places, and it will tell you whether or not you have a leak. I was using a lot of water, but I had some issues, and I resolved it. So that's just one possibility. I don't know if that's the issue for you, okay? I just wanted to thank the people from throughout the northern or southern Oakland County for coming to the police event that we had on July the 23rd. Councilman Bruce, Councilman Allred, I know why you didn't come, but I was looking for you, Councilwoman Boulware. It was really, really nice talking about the dangers of synthetic drugs, how to use Narcan, and human trafficking. If you look at most of the surrounding jurisdictions, this is what the police are dealing with, synthetic drugs and catching all of these guys that are doing horrendous trafficking of these young girls and kids. Something came up on my Facebook today where a gentleman in Detroit did the same thing. He was charged 5 counts and got 25 to 50 years on each count, and it was something that he said that made him get that much time. And on the 7th count, he got 5 to 10 years. So this gentleman is going to spend 155 years to 160 years because he took a woman, held her captive, and locked her up in the room while he was there in another room with the guy playing video, and she happened to escape out of a second-floor window and went to the KFC and went to the neighbor's house and got rescued. So we've got to talk to our children. We've got to talk about the dangers of synthetic drugs and educate people on fentanyl. I wish you could have been there to hear this father from the group Fathers Against Fentanyl talk about the son that he lost. It wasn't a dry eye in the room. So we're going to be doing another event next year. We haven't decided on the topic yet, but we've got, I think I probably got about 83 surveys from people that are expressing what they want more information about. I appreciate and want to thank the city manager, the mayor of Oak Park, the Oakland County Sheriff's Department, and my other city of Southfield for all that you guys did to promote this event, to all the businesses and the community that gave enough money to put that flyer in 5 different newspapers, the Southfield Sun, Farmington Press, Woodward Talk, Royal Oak Review, and the Eagle. I appreciate you, and all the law enforcement collaboration appreciate you. We also got enough community contributions to have a law enforcement food table, a kosher food table for our guests, and also for everyone else. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Okay, city attorney report.
Yes, I have, I've submitted my report. I have no changes or adjustments to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. There being no further business to come before us, we'll see y'all September 8th. Happy Labor Day. Good night, Farmington Hills.